Uh, Jacob, you should probably read Day6. Uh, I'll read the Barberettes. Umu first, yeah. No, you're talking first. You go first. What the? Is someone getting brutally murdered and we just don't? Come on. Yeah, we're live. I mean, no, it's no. The stream is live, but it's still on a splash screen right now. Oh God. Wait, did she say she hears us? Oh Lord, she can hear me.
Are we starting?
Okay, now we're live. Now we're live.
It's a very garbage truck on fire, as always. God,
people are gonna leave if you just keep doing that.
That's scary.
It's okay.
Holy shit, there's 39 people in here.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stop.
Stop.
Hey, what's up?
Wow, there's
way more people this time. Yeah, there's gonna be way more people this time. All my participants.
How many people did you have last time?
Like
15.
30.
No. How many people are there right now?
Flicks are just
nobody asked you. Okay.
Flixer, we're still gonna make fun of you this whole time, even though there's more people. So.
Oh, I love it.
Ooh,
I'm gonna
I
put them in
can
timeout
sum up
one
the
day.
live. It up.
Okay. Yep. As it says on the description thingy, questions, comments, concerns. We're gonna go till about 9:10 just to make sure this stream doesn't die or my computer doesn't explode or anything like that.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions, ask them now.
Oh damn.
Or forever hold your peace.
What's up? Hi guys.
Once we actually Flixer is in my Diego.
Our Discord people are just gonna fight against each other
Oh yeah,
the whole time.
exactly. All these inside jokes.
It's just like all these climb moves are gonna be like, oh my God, Umu, I love you, and then our guys are just like, you suck.
They hate each other. They're like not even talking about us or the podcast at all.
Oh my God. I'll just
Sometimes.
talk about video games the whole time.
What did I need to...
English chat.
You
what
heard
time
him,
is it?
Flixer.
It's
That is a good Dreamcatcher song. Good job, Jacob. Or whoever typed that. I assume that's you, Jacob.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Flixer was talking trash about what in the chat
See,
earlier.
I told you he has bad taste in music.
Goodness. We're making the best first impression of everyone.
Oh, we are 100%. All that we passed 500 subs, we're gonna lose like 30 subs.
Hello,
all the people
new
that
people.
because of Umu.
Bye, new people.
no, I won't let them unsubscribe. I'll be like, I won't post anything ever. Ooh, my Day6 remember as album reaction is done encoding.
Wait, you're encoding
hold
React at the same
K.
time.
Dude, no, yeah, I have to use Handbrake for everything because my
Wait,
videos
what?
are like 10 gigs.
Wait,
Oof.
wait, why do you have to... I've never used Handbrake for...
Handbrake fully cuts down the size but keeps the quality. It's fantastic. So now my videos upload in like 1 second. No, they upload in like 5 minutes instead of an hour.
I just YOLO it and I'm just like, I'll render this 10 gigabyte video.
That's nothing.
Or
I
don't
spent
do that,
250 hours rendering 3D last week.
Oh, I know. They can see my tweets. Or
But that was
Twitter.
for
Whoops.
school.
Yeah, it was, but still 250 hours total. 25 hours in real life on 10 machines.
Yes. What is? No. What isn't my least favorite title?
No,
I think
least favorite.
Fly High is my least favorite title track.
Oh, got him, Flixer.
Wow.
How dare you? Fly High is amazing because it's anime.
That's wrong because Flixer doesn't say that Heartshaker is the best. So he obviously doesn't have the best Twice opinions.
No, I don't want to go. Can I just get to the?
Oh, is Flixer just going right? Okay.
Cooper has the worst.
Cooper's.
I'll just keep this on.
So,
I disagree.
Welcome, Ashy. Or
Hi,
Ashi.
Ashley. Sorry
Yeah.
for all of our
Ashy or Ashi?
our like inside Discord jokes.
I'm very lost, but
Yeah, exactly. Flixer hates Noma Noma Noma, which is like the worst opinion in the world. Nobody can hate that song. Umu probably
the
hates
only
it.
IOI
We're
song
just
I like.
let me spend 10
yeah.
minutes just roasting Flixer before the stream. Oof.
Yeah, like this was supposed to be Q&A to test that the stream works. But we're
In
just
front of 70
just
people.
we're just shitting out Flixer for 10 minutes in front
I'm
of
shitting out Mamamoo
100 people.
and Dreamcatcher albums. Is that, or am like my bag is spinning out Mamamoo and Dreamcatcher albums? Am I pooping
Yes.
it or am I throwing it?
No,
Which
it's
one?
It's out of your sack.
It's out of the. Have you ever watched Fate Stay Night?
No.
Okay, so you have no idea who like Red Saber is and everything. Okay, because I've been trying. This has been like, or that's been my go-to.
The Umu meme. Umu.
Yeah, because
All right,
she
okay,
says.
because I remember that from last time.
Yeah, because Red Saber says Umu. That's her like catchphrase. So
Who did this animation of like my logo and stuff?
I did. I spent way too much time on this shit.
It's amazing. Thank you for your hard work, Andrew.
Oh, Cooper's here. Everyone, leave the stream.
Yep.
Cooper, they were
And
making
then we
fun
can
of
see
your
our numbers
twice.
just drop like a rock.
They were making fun of your twice opinions while you were gone. But I'm with you. Dance the Night Away is a fun song.
Uh-oh. That girl's starting waifu wars in the chat.
No. Keep the anime to the anime Discord, Eggroll.
Everyone spam Ohio.
This is Korean only.
Granted, I actually haven't watched Fate Stay Night yet at all. Just because I've been, or
Really?
just because there's a specific watch order you're supposed to do Fate Stay Night in because the anime.
Well, there's
It's
like
only-
8 billion and they're all in
Yeah,
the
'cause
chat.
Yeah,
there's-
they're all like 8 billion. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
It's
since,
okay,
like,
Laurie. We'll get on to the scheduled programming soon.
Oh, okay. Cooper, I don't know if I agree with that. That's a little too far. But
I said
yeah, sorry,
Ohio.
Laurie. We'll get to the actual K-pop talk soon. We're just making sure that the stream doesn't implode because
Yeah,
it did a
basically.
couple times last time.
What?
And when that's happening, we're
We're gonna try and start around 9:10.
so a couple minutes.
2 minutes.
Oh my god, you could see like my basement is just full of boxes because I still haven't moved in after like what I've been here 6 months already.
Oh, I put all my stuff here in the living room. So my
I know I have to clean this out because I have
My
family
mom's
coming
probably
over on
happy about
Christmas. So and then you guys are coming in February, so I really need to clean this out.
Andrew, you see what poster Umu has over her left shoulder?
What?
with the red velvet.
The
the Mamamoo.
Oh no, right. That's right shoulder. Oh wait. Oh, I thought you meant okay. Her left shoulder. Her
Yes,
right.
her left
Okay.
shoulder.
Okay.
We're gonna get.
Hey,
I was trying
someone
to
gets
get.
the
I was trying to get
Go
get
ahead.
the song stuck in your head because you hate when we're singing it.
Nah.
Banana.
No, not you two. Not you two. These guys, every time we're not doing anything, they're just like, banana. I'm just like, shut up. I'm trying to think here.
69
trying
viewers. Hey.
I'm like trying to do really important stuff, and they're just like, doing banana like over and over and over again. I did the animation, Ashy.
Am I supposed to be chatting in both the Discord and then also?
No, no,
Oh,
no,
no,
ignore
no,
the
no, no,
Discord.
no,
Ignore the
live
Discord.
stream.
Yeah, ignore the Discord for now. That's
Yeah.
too much.
It's
No.
9:10. We should start.
I was just showing you our Discord in case you wanted to see how they work.
This stream's not going to crash, so I'll go to splash screen real quick, and we'll get started.
Hello and welcome to episode 101 of the DaebakCast. This is a weekly podcast where the three of us come together each week, this time with a guest, so four of us this week, to talk about K-pop and whatever's current in the industry. This week we have 2 album reviews, one of which is a auto reverse, and 2 topics. Yes. Yeah. Anyways, I guess I'll just let's just get into introductions, well, shall we? All right. So as always, I'm joined by Nate.
The lights are shining on me, and it's like a diamond. The best
Christmas
K-pop
song
Christmas song
of all time.
Wrong.
Not
Diamond
wrong.
by SNSD.
Anyways, I'm also joined by Andrew, who usually has 3 things.
Number 1. I should have got it.
Nope.
Number 1.
Number 1.
Number
He's
1.
not ready.
So in preparation for our trip to Korea and Japan in April, I bought this little thing, the Panasonic Lumix G85. So hopefully I'll be able to do vlogs and all that sort of stuff, and everything's in 4K and fancy, and I have no idea how to use it, but okay, I'll figure it out eventually.
Okay. They were saying no audio, but they said it's back. We're good. Keep going.
Number 2, on a more serious topic, I just wanted to bring attention to Minzy. She recently did a interview with Jeff Benjamin for Billboard.com, talking about sort of like depression, suicidal thoughts, that sort of thing, how she is as an artist and how she's growing or whatever. And I thought it was a really excellent article. I'd suggest anyone read it. And it's very rare that we get like a behind the scenes look in that sort of way with K-pop artists, just because they're usually just so very guarded and like pretty much they have an entire like PR department just preventing them from really expressing themselves in that way. So I really appreciated the honesty that she showed. And as I mentioned, as I've mentioned before, I've been very public about my own struggles with depression and suicide. So I just really appreciated seeing someone of her stature just share her story, and it's definitely inspiring. And number 3. Before this meme or just before this trend dies, I'm just gonna have to do it, and I promise them I'd do it on the next live stream.
Kill us all.
Pardon the hair.
He has one of the hats.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
He bought one of the hats.
Amazing.
Oh my god!
I don't know
Why
how this
did
is
he
gonna
do
work with
it?
headphones, but like
I don't know. Does
I will try. I will attempt to wear this for the rest of the podcast.
so dumb.
I love it.
So dumb.
Yes!
Does it? Yeah. Does it work with headphones?
No,
Try it.
Oh, it does.
There you go.
Amazing.
God.
Oh my god.
And those are my 3 things. Before I forget, as always, if you're new here, hello. this is kind of going to be a mess.
You gonna let
But
Umu introduce herself?
but before I wanted to.
Or you want to do this
mention-
before? Okay.
Yeah, hello. We're kind of a mess. Also, subscribe, like. If you're listening on our audio feed, you probably have no idea what's going on. But if you're here, maybe you should subscribe to our Discord because it's mucho lit. Discord link is somewhere in the description.
Yes.
Discord is mucho lit at
It
Applebee's
is.
top shelf.
Applebee's top shelf mucho lit.
Okay. Anyways,
And Umu.
yes, I am also joined
Yeah.
by Umu. You may recognize from her channel, ReacttotheK.
Yes. Hi, I'm Umu, and I guess I'm gonna do like a little fact thing that the others did. Yep, I'm from ReacttotheK. I run that channel. I edit videos. I react everything K-pop. I play French horn, and I am done with finals. It is my winter break, and I'm like alone in this giant house with Kevin, but Kevin's never here anyways.
Isn't he
for
doing like
4 days?
Isn't he doing like a? Isn't he watching like Shrek or something?
Yeah, he's doing Shrek Retold movie showing tonight.
That's all I. That's all, I was watching your live stream earlier, and I was like, that's all I caught because I was at work. I'm just like, why are you talking about? Why are you talking about the Shrek like thing with like the? It's all ogre now, or Shrek is life. Shrek is life.
No, I kind of like
goodness.
tuned out the second he mentioned that. But he's showing a movie. He runs a movie club. But yeah, I'm just hanging out. I'm editing things 24/7, filming 24/7, and then we can go home. And I'm stress free. So yay, that's my fact.
How long is your break?
How that goes.
How long do you off till?
Dude, okay, so I started taking less classes at the University of Tai Eastman, and they get a whole week later than Eastman itself. So my break is like 3 weeks, but because my mom only bought the cheapest flights, I'm only in California for 2 weeks.
So you
dang.
just that's still good, man. I
I
actually
usually
missed
get
that.
a full month.
Yeah, in college I had like a month and a half. I was off from like the middle of December and I didn't come back until like the last week of January, basically. So it was
Wait,
incredible.
really? Oh,
I get
we
3
all-
months for this break.
Well, yeah, you do.
because you don't have to go. Because
He's going to Korea.
Yeah.
Oh.
The next time he goes to school, he's
right.
in a completely different country.
It'll be great. I guess we'll see.
The enthusiasm in your voice was palpable.
Yes.
It'll be great.
Yes. Anyways,
And you are.
I'm Jacob. # no blow note. I used to read out of it, but I lost it once, so I just quit doing that.
Tableau's.
Blow Note is Tableau's book of emo quotes, basically.
Oh, okay.
Anyways,
Yeah, I was lost.
without further ado, let's get this started. Andrew, what's topic order? Because I didn't ask you that today.
Topic
I,
one's Day
I,
6.
I told you.
All right, topic one's Day 6.
Isn't it Barberettes?
Barberettes is
Oh,
two.
Day6.
All right.
Nobody listens to you, Andrew, except for me, I guess.
Hey, 1 second. 1 second. It's okay. Dumpster fires are
How
okay.
does that hat work? You press buttons, or can you?
Yeah,
Is there a mode where it
there's
just
like-
constantly goes on?
It's like air, and then you press it, and then it makes the air inflate the ears. But if you do it too much, I think it kind
my
of breaks.
God.
So you have to do it from time to time.
Amazing.
Oh, hey.
Okay.
hey, it's PD.
PD
Hello.
is in chat.
Oh.
Stan Day
So,
6.
Edie, you're supposed to be editing my video. What are you doing?
Wow. Called out live.
Is the video done? I still haven't sent them. Oh shit. Okay, I'll do that right after this.
Whoops.
Anyway,
Okay.
All right. Anyways,
Stay in
without
form of
further
therapy.
ado, yes, stand form of therapy. Anyways, we can, I guess, start out with a review. We'll be reviewing Day6's album "Remember Us," which is, I guess, a sequel to their previous one, which was "Shoot Me."
Yeah.
Was it Shoot Us or Shoot
Youth
Me?
Shoot.
shoot me.
The
Shoot
album?
everyone.
Okay.
Youth part 1.
Yeah, it was Youth
Yeah.
Part 1. Anyways, so from there we can go into the first song, which is "Hurt Road," and this song was really interesting to me because it had a very like simplistic, not like a ton of instrumental, and it kind of like was empty enough that their vocals really shined well, and I think that's what made this song like stand out a lot to me. Is like it was just raw vocal performance, I guess, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved the intro to the song. I thought like Wampil's voice and just the piano like worked so well. And then I thought it was nice. Like I felt like the song built enough to not just enough to where it didn't lose its like sentimental sad feeling. But it wasn't like it kept it from being like too slow and just ballady and piano focused. But like you said with like vocal performance, I thought this was a really good song to showcase, just like how Stray Kids has 9 members and all of them somehow have unique like singing and rapping styles and voices. Like Day6 is another group like that where all the members have very unique voices. And I think this showed it off really well.
I'm actually surprised this wasn't the single that they went with, just because like we kind of think otherwise, just because we're really big fan, at least you and truly Daebak, really big fans of like rock music. But like the most popular songs for Day6 tend to be their ballads, so like obviously like Congratulations, like all that sort of style tends to do well in Korea. So that being said, it's an enjoyable ballad track, just because I think Day6 is probably one of the best groups when it comes to, or the reason why they're these sort of like emotional ballad tracks don't become grating on me is because Day6 is one of the best groups in terms of being able to convey emotion and sincerity in their music. So yeah, I could definitely see myself just being like up at 3 a.m. listening to an emo playlist and being like with a giant tub of ice cream just listening to this song and like cry. So yeah, you definitely get that you definitely get the vibe without even looking at the lyrics. Obviously, just you definitely feel the sadness and the sort of emotion just emanating from the song, which I really do enjoy about their music.
Yes.
So before I get started, so Kevin and I filmed our first listen to this album yesterday, so I've only had less than 24 hours, maybe like 5 hours to listen to this album. And I've gone through multiple phases so like I had my first reaction to it, which everyone will see tomorrow. And then earlier today, when I was kind of in a bad mood and I was feeling really critical towards things. And I was like, wow, I really don't like this album.
That's me every
And I
day.
was about to be like, oh my God, I'm going to be so mean during this podcast. But then right before we started this podcast, I was taking notes, and then I turned up the music all the way, and so I was able to hear all the different textures, and I was like, wait, now this is like one of their greatest albums ever. So I've had some like really high and low peaks with this, and as of right now, I'm like amazed with everything. I think this is an album that you really need to turn up the volume to, so you can hear all the layers to it. And so yeah, first things first, Hurt Road. Spoiler, this first listen, this was my favorite song of the album. And possibly after a few listens, favorite song of the album. Basically, so like, yeah, it starts with a very thin texture. It has the All Alone tambourine. And I was immediately drawn in by the melody, because Day6 is so good with their melody writings, because it has lots of dynamics and leaps and obvious phrasing that really just grabs your attention. And of course, when we start to get texture, we have Doan coming in. It's like actual dynamics. He hits drums lightly and then crescendos and eighth notes. And then, okay, my favorite part, this is where I'm going to start some singing. Let me just make sure that I'm doing the right things. Okay. So I really love the melody of the chorus. It goes E, D, C sharp, D, and then it leaps up to A, G, and then it goes up back to A, F, and then F sharp, F sharp. So basically, it's like lots of like half steps. It's lots of little movement, and then they're really good at assigning a peak to a phrase, and that's when they jump up a fifth from D to A. Oh my God, that was correct. Sorry, guys. And then they could have just gone directly from G to F sharp, which is just a step, but instead they go da 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 da. So it's like this little turn, which we could also call appoggiatura in classical language, where you start on a note and then you go. I'm talking about right the part, yeah. Well, okay, no, I haven't reached there yet. Anyways. Okay, well, the next part of the phrase is F sharp, G, F sharp, F sharp. And so you're starting on one note, and then you go up a half step, back down a half step, and then back up to this note. and that's
Kind
what
of
we call it.
so kind of like a trill a bit or something like that, or
trills are faster. Trills
yeah, like it's
happen
repeated,
not necessarily in rhythm.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is this one. Arpeggiators would be like da 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 da, but this is just like actually it had a assigned rhythm to it.
Yeah.
But those were like the notes that it went to. And then after that part, the melody just falls, and I think it's one of my favorite Day6 melodies. I was really, really drawn in by it. And then on top of that, Young K repeats the same exact thing at the beginning, but since he phrases it slightly different from Sungjin, and ends it that same musical phrase with new melodic material, it keeps the song flowing. And I think that's what Day6 does with a lot of their melodies and in ballads, and that's why we don't find their ballads as generic as other groups. And then it showcases. Okay, yeah, I think this song showcases Sungjin's vocals the best. Like, I'm hella biased towards Young K most of the time, but I think this is one of the songs that it's in a perfect range for Sungjin, and I think the style fits his vocal timbre really, really well. And just like the whole song has so many different turns, and like instead of just going to the next note, they do first a little leap and then back to it. And okay, so the structure. Sorry, I'm going on and on because.
No, go for it.
That's
why we have you on.
The structure of the song. So I mark the structure as a song A, B, C, D, A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime, and then A with double prime. So basically A is when Wonpil starts singing it. And I count that either as verse 1 or intro. And then when J starts singing, since it's new material, I call that verse 2 or just first verse. I call that B. And then C is the chorus when Sungjin starts singing. And when Young K continues it, it's the same melody. So that's still the chorus. And then when D happens, I'm calling that the post-chorus. I should just call that C or like C. No, that post-chorus, because the tempo changes and the chord progression changes. Yeah. Basically, melody changes, everything changes. And then we go directly from that to the beginning instrumental, but with a new melody. So that's why I called it A prime. And then B prime is Jay's original melody, but sung by a different member, and the instrumentals are different. And then, okay, what I love is that when the first chorus appears, it's Sungjin and then Young K singing. And then this chorus, how they vary it is that they have Jay sing it first, then Wonpil. So they have two completely different members singing it. And on top of that, there are vocal harmonies. So that's why I called it C prime instead of just like another plain chorus. And then, of course, we don't necessarily have a bridge because we directly after that, we go to the post-chorus. And again, we switch singers from before. It's Jay and Sungjin time. And this time there are also added harmonies. So they just they keep varying it by having, the extra little harmony added in. And then the very end, it's the beginning instrumental, but minus the tambourine. So I'm just calling it A double prime. Yeah. And so yeah, I just really think it's a really successful and beautiful ballad.
Yeah,
what you mentioned before about like Day6 ballads not seeming as generic as other artists. Like we literally sometimes when we just find a ballad that just doesn't stand out at all, we're just like in like releases lists or whatever, we're just like, it's a ballad. That's like all we have to say.
That's our first t-shirt. It's a ballad.
But yeah, like I almost never have that feeling with Day6. Like they always blow me away with their ballads. So yeah, I was super pleased with this song. Anyways, moving on, we have Days Gone By, which is like 80s overload. Like
it's the title track or the single.
Yeah, it's the single. Everything about it is 80s, like the synths in the background, the even just like the production even sounds pretty 80s. And the music video was really, really cool with nice like neon colors and stuff. One part in the music video that I really, really enjoyed was I think it was a part towards like 2/3 the way through. They're standing on the stage behind like these neon panels. Yeah. That shot was awesome. I love that. And then so for the actual song, when I first heard it, I was like, this will be a grower a little bit because Like, so I heard the pre-chorus, and then the actual chorus itself sounded like another pre-chorus to me at first. So I was like a little weirded out, but after listening to it a few times, I really, really love this song. I think it turned out really nicely. So yeah, I really, really like this, especially the instrumentation. I love I wasn't expecting them to go into like an 80s vibe at all. Like that was been like the last thing I expected from Day6, and they pull it off really nicely.
Yeah, like Jacob said, obviously the whole song's just straight up 80s. And it's something I love. I love listening to synthy 80s rock and synth pop and stuff. The one thing is, like, it's not necessarily like a unique or interesting take on like 80s synth rock, but it's not something they've done before, and like I think it's something good for them to do. But yeah, like you could compare it to just most 80s synth rock songs, and nothing really stands out, which is okay for me, especially because the rest of the album is super unique. So like this one being a little more standard, and I don't want to say generic because it makes it sound negative, but it's not necessarily a negative thing. But no, I thought it's awesome for them to put out something like this. It reminds me of Wonder Girls. Give me more. JYP just needs to do more synthy, like retro rock songs. Stray Kids next. But yeah,
Stray
I
Kids
agree.
80s.
Stray Kids doing 80s would be so interesting and weird.
They weren't even born. Like they probably.
I was gonna say,
most of them weren't even like barely.
John
90s.
can't even produce anything. Well, I mean, most of Day6 wasn't either. If any of them.
Yeah, no, none of them were born in the 80s.
I agree with
the
Jacob
oldest
too.
is 26.
Yeah, so
Chase
they're
Kids
roughly
is
like a year
they're roughly around
younger
my
than-
age. So, and I was
but
born in
yeah,
the 80s last I checked.
I also agree with Jacob with the music video. I thought it was such a cool throwback. It fits the song so well. And yeah, that exact shot is the same shot I was thinking of with the colored panels behind them. It was a really good shot.
Okay, so yeah, again, to echo Jacob's sentiments, this is a great new direction for Day6 because it's going to be a recurring theme, maybe just throughout the album reviews. But as someone that's just sort of a stickler for not like beating like the horse or beating a dead horse or whatever, like I enjoy when groups sort of venture off into new directions or new sounds. So something like this was maybe like it was unexpected, but it's something that I didn't necessarily see them, or it's not too surprising that they went into this direction because there's just basically been this like maybe it's just like a millennial thing or whatever. I hate to use that word, but just sort of there's this like new sort of discovery or newfound like appreciation for like 80s pop culture and music. Like basically there's just this whole like new like basically there's groups like the 1975 where their entire concept is they're just doing like 80s music and like all of their visuals are inspired by like freaking John Hughes films and all that sort of thing. Basically just like all these people like maybe like my age or so are like finally starting to get an appreciation, or they're discovering maybe the stuff that their parents grew up with, whether it be like new wave synth pop or like this like city pop or future funk, like Japanese discos sort of starting to make a resurgence, or like vaporwave, just like the visual aspect of it. Yeah, it's definitely obviously like music and just like culture in itself is cyclical, but yeah, there is it's so interesting to see just how like again like people like my age that weren't born in the 80s and have like no like actual maybe experience with the 80s or this style of music outside of what their parents experienced or sort of divulged to them. It's really cool. So obviously, yeah, being a huge fan of this style of music, I really enjoyed it. I'd say what stood out to me the most is obviously Wonpil's the synth is just so beautiful, and I never thought I'd hear something like this in a K-pop song at all. So it's what really nails down the vibe of the song, especially like it wouldn't be complete if it didn't have it. And there really is something about just JYP as a label doing or sort of promoting themselves as doing retro concepts, whether it be Wonder Girls, whether it be like Twice doing stuff like Signal, or just all this sort of thing. Like it's really cool to see that just sort of be like the defining aspect of it. And I'd love to see them do just like a whole like throwback album, because I mean this is probably the only one that's in this style of like 80s synth pop, but I'd love to see them sort of take it even further. As for the visuals, again, like this is what like, it really sells it, just because all these crazy pastel colors, just like the outfits. I don't know what happened to Sungjin's hair, but okay.
You said a bear clawed him.
Yeah, it just
and he shaved it because he's confident.
Yeah. But again, as a huge fan of just like this style of it's weird that it's weird to be nostalgic for a time period that you didn't exist in, but there is a nostalgic aspect of it. Like, and I'm not alone, because I mean, like I said, like the 1975 Paramore's latest album, just like it's all this as like new wave and synth pop inspired stuff. And this song straight up sounds like there was an old movie called St. Elmo's Fire, where like the theme of it is like very similar to it. Like I don't know if I can't recall it, like, or I can't sing it off the top of my head, but it's very, if you could look it up. I know it's probably a song that's way before any of you guys' time in the chat, but you could definitely see the similarities if you compare it to this. Umu.
Okay, yeah. I think the reason why my first reaction to it was I was just so shocked. I wasn't, like you guys keep saying, like we wouldn't think that they may do this style of music. And I think it's just because I'm so used to hearing Day6's vocals and timbres with more modern songs, with, you know, melodies that move around a lot more. And so my first listen, I was like, especially since I hadn't listened to much 80s music, or at least recently I haven't, I was like I was on uneven ground.
Okay.
And so,
you're not
like all other my days, it's grown on me. What were you gonna say?
You're not used to. It's not your sort of forte, so to speak.
Yeah, but like today, I went back and I was like, wait, okay, because I grew up listening to my parents' music, and I must have listened to 80s music, and so the ones that I like actually actively listened to throughout middle school. It was mostly middle school when I listened to stuff. But it was like, Don't You Forget About Me, Blondie's Call Me, I Have the Tiger, like Queen's stuff released in the 80s, Billy Joel, Uptown Girl, like that style of music. And so as I started to remember, like, oh, okay, I can connect these, and then I re-listened, gone by, and I was like, okay, I'm familiar with these sounds. And it started to feel so natural to listen. And on top of that, like, I turned off my musician brain and I was like, oh yeah, I can dig this. And as long as, you know, I don't try and analyze and be like, oh, there aren't any rhythmic variation in this part, you know, like, I can enjoy it so much more. Yeah. And then basically, I'm so mad that I didn't hear the pre-chorus modulations my first listen. I feel so ashamed. Yeah, Kevin pointed out during or afterwards or something, and I was like, wait, I did not hear that. But now that I am listening to the music, the shifts are really obvious. It switches between relative keys, and then during the instrumental break, right after the chorus, it goes to the parallel minor. So it kind of adds in this dark edginess that I feel like the 80s music that I've heard has.
Yeah, that's definitely...
Nice little darker creep.
Yeah, that's definitely a purposeful stylistic choice, just because that's basically a trope after a certain point, like, or that's a trope where just like in like 70s 80s music where basically just everything's super happy and whatever, and like almost every song just has like a modulation towards the end, and like just like it just sort of became a trope for the time period, so it's not surprising that they'd sort of incorporate that into the songwriting.
Yeah, so since I am not that familiar with that, you know, style of music, 70s, 90s, I can't say much to it, but I mean, all I can say now is I enjoy it. And I'm ready to move on.
For me. All right, so up next, we have Headache, and so based on the first two tracks, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a more mellow album, kind of like Moonrise. I was like, and then bam, Headache. I was like, oh my god, what is happening? And honestly, I will not turn this down. I love when Day6 does these more like hard rock style songs, and like Doan's drums immediately came in. I was like, yes, this is what I like. Give me more. And even I think it's probably Jay's guitar throughout the song. I really enjoy that as well. Also, the filters they put over their voices and stuff like that really reminds me of a lot of the rock music I used to listen to, probably like the 2000s when I was a kid. And yeah, I really love this. And so when I heard this, I was like, this is my favorite song on the album. It's not going to change. And then
it did.
something else happens, but we'll get there.
And then it did. You lived up to your name, where every song is your favorite album, or your favorite song on the album.
It's one of your favorite songs on the album. But no, yeah, I agree with Jacob once again. I thought it was interesting though, the intro, like the very beginning, it actually sounded like it was gonna be hip hop, because it's like a hip hop beat for a couple bars, and I was really confused. But that actually comes back in like some short sections later where they bring that beat back, and yeah, it almost sounds like a hip hop beat. But yeah, it just goes so hard after that intro, and I love it. I want more of this. I used to listen to a lot of rock music before I started listening to K-pop. And this is the type of stuff I listen to. And like Jacob said, I love all the vocal effects and like techniques they use with like the chanting and the echoing and the different effects they use on their voices. I thought it all sounded fantastic.
So yeah, again, being a child of, or growing up in the mid 2000s, like this type of like sound was just, again, being the same age as most of the members of Day6, they probably grew up listening to the same stuff that I did. So it's not a surprise that they're pulling these influences from the same sort of time periods in this sort of way. And again, to touch on what Nate mentioned, like I was really just like, wait a second, is this a boom bap beat in a freaking Day6 song? I was like, whoa. Are we gonna get some like hardcore like rapping or whatever? But no, it's actually a pretty like sort of interesting, like maybe like eye catcher or whatever. And that, damn it, now I just want a straight up like Day6 rap song.
Hip hop Day6.
It's just like Day6 like rap. Like they can't dance, but maybe they can rap.
They could probably do that. I mean, we've heard J rap, we've heard Young K rap. I think
just have
probably Dolan,
like,
Sungjin's probably like rapped on like variety shows.
Just have Changbin come in and guest.
Oh yeah, that'd be so good.
And then do like rap rock with Changbin.
Yes.
Just give me like a straight up Linkin Park song. Like
exactly.
We need a Stray Kids Day6 like Linkin Park-esque like song collaboration thing.
Like subunit. Or make a whole subunit. Just give me a whole.
Did you see Stray Kids Mama performance with was it District 9?
Yeah, District 9. The mix was
like
fucking
an actual
amazing.
rock backing.
Yeah.
That was lit.
It was.
Yeah, just like basically Mama was sort of summed up in, let's put a rock remix on every song, and I'm just like, okay, I'm down with this. I'm down with this. Like, yeah, we did our Mama recap last week, and I'm just like, it's a rock remix. I enjoy it. Anyway, getting back to the actual song again, yeah, just like what Jacob mentioned, Dolan's drums just really stand out again. Again, just obviously dipping your toes into like the sort of like hard rock punk, pop punk sort of aspect of it. The drums are definitely probably one of the most important parts of it, outside of just like actual like keeping tempo or whatever. It's just like it often is like sort of like it's the main driver, and sort of like it helps deliver like the hardness of the sound just because of how intense the drumming is. And I think maybe this is a popular unpopular opinion or whatever, but I just think he's super underrated for his Dylan's super underrated for the technicality that he's able to display. Obviously, K-pop isn't like some crazy like black metal song with like blast beats and like nonstop like double bass or whatever, but just the technicality that he's able to show in these arguably more simplified pop songs is still incredible, and it's always something that stands out to me. Just despite being like so well versed in rock music or whatever, there's something about his drumming that's just really notable in that sort of way.
Okay, well, so for Headache, yeah, like I said, I legit thought I was gonna start with rapping. Like I was so ready for Young K to come in and just start spitting some bars. But nope, it just immediately went into a minor song, kind of hinting at the Dorian mode. And so because it's minor and it has the same grungy guitar sound as Warning from Shoot Me album, I
Yeah.
kept comparing it to Warning. And it's actually similar in more ways than just mode and sound. It is very full of texture throughout the whole song. And on top of that, it's also pretty chromatic with its melodies and progressions, but it never lets up until like there's like 2 bars of their texture around halfway through. And that's the same exact thing with Warning, where Jay goes na 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 na, but you're gonna, so like that part. Like those are the only 2 parts each song's let up on. So it's similar in the way that they carry out just overall sound. My favorite part is the post-chorus. Pitch bend is so I cannot. Okay, so I think
You can't read your own handwriting.
I can't read my handwriting.
That's why I started typing my notes.
I think. Okay, it's post-chorus. Young K's singing. Okay. Young K's going, babe, like don't stop, something like that. And so while he's bending pitch up, like the bass guitar also does some pitch bending. So I thought it was really cool, contrasting, like wiggly moment.
Yeah. That's definitely a punk thing.
That's a technical term, right? Wiggly.
Wiggly.
Wiggly moment, yes. Write it down in your music dictionary. And then when the chorus comes back the second time, they change some things up and they add some like, hey stuff in. And yeah, the bridge is a nice change of progression, nice change of groove, and then it varies, the very last chorus changed. So they had some nice moments where they tried to break up this constant sound. Overall, after the first 20 seconds of hearing this song, you kind of know how the rest of it is going to carry out, and it does exactly that. So, personally, I like when they throw things my way that I don't know is going to happen. Because, like you guys said, the drumming is really strong, but it is, like, the same thing throughout. He uses the same transition rhythms, like, digga-digga-da-da, into the next one, and boom, ba, boom, ba. No, at the beginning, the chord progression has, like, this little hiccup. It's like, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's syncopated type of it, but that never returns, and I kind of wish that it returned. But yeah, okay, those are my thoughts.
All right. Next up, we have 121U, which I'm assuming is supposed to sound like want to want you,
Oh,
or something, maybe.
oh.
Yeah. I have no idea, but
I thought it was like, I thought it had a deeper meaning.
well, I have no idea either way. But anyways, so going off of headache, I mean, which like I previously was like, yeah, that's my favorite song hands down, and it's like boom, this just blew it right out. It's like as soon as like the guitar came in, the really, really deep like bassy guitar started coming in, I was like, yes, keep coming, keep giving it to me. And it's just the song blew me away. And yeah, it's just it's hard to describe. I just like I just can't with the song kind of thing, like I just give me more hard rock Day6. I love it. I will never turn it down.
It's in the same key.
Oh yeah.
It's in the same key as Headache.
But yeah, you can tell that I have similar music taste to Jacob because this is also my favorite song. I think the way I described it was how rugged it is. The song just sounds really rugged. And I thought it was awesome. Just right from the beginning. The other thing like that completely stole the show for me was the drums. Like there's so much tom usage, and like I couldn't focus on anything else throughout the whole song.
Yeah.
I would just only focus on like all the different fills he was doing. But I loved it so much.
What else we're talking about?
Huh? Yeah, that's easily my favorite song because of that. Just how hard it is, and yep.
Yeah, that's the good thing you mentioned it, Umu, because that's actually the first thing, or one of the things I noticed going from Headache to 121U. Just it's probably on purpose that they put them sort of back to back, because the songs tend, since they're in the same key, they probably made it so that it's supposed to sound like one seamless or some one continuous sort of sound, and again very similar in terms of just again, just instrumentation. I'd say probably the main difference would be is that Jacob, you're gonna love this part. It's got the Foo Fighters effect, or basically just and sort of incorporating what Nate was talking about in terms of like tom usage, just verse. Just to provide a contrast between the verse and the chorus. Just verse is just mostly just like like just tom fills, whereas once you get hit in the chorus, it's like mostly snare, crash, that sort of thing. Again, just a separation between just like the low end and the high end of that is it's definitely on purpose to sort of differentiate the two. Shout out to Young K's bass line, which is going to be another thing I say a lot later. Just again, I love how they pull from just like these pop punks sort of sounds and bring that into this type of, or their style of just melodic pop rock sort of vibe. So, and also just again before I forget, just another really cool sort of thing to differentiate sounds is towards the beginning or intermediately some parts that they use, or Doan uses a really good he takes advantage of like stick clicks or just like rim clicks or whatever, just provide different sounds. Again, it's so fascinating and interesting just how much variation you can get from just like a literal circle that's covered in like, it used to be covered in skin, but like covered in the synthetic fabric, and you just like bang it like over and over again. Just like, again, there's just so much you can do with it, and I really appreciate that aspect of Doan's drumming.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. One of the highlights of the song is the fact that the drums do keep changing throughout the entire thing. There's so much variation, so much difference. Using, going from just like a tom rhythm and bass drum to the snare drum, and then switching between toms and snare drum, and then just going crazy on the cymbals and hi-hat. So that's what drew my attention during my first two. And then I also happened to compare this to Headache, and the melody and chord progression, or like just different instrumental notes, are also very chromatic, very minor, so it kind of sets up the same vibe, but yeah, it's so different. And I'm not sure what to say other than what I said in my reaction. I don't want to repeat exactly what I said in that video and spoil it. But yeah, I think the second time the pre-chorus shows up, the first time Doan just uses the toms, and then the second time he uses more of the bass drum, and then transitions to the toms, and then to the snare and cymbals during the chorus. But what I wanted to talk about is the bridge. And okay, so basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attempt at singing again and talk about the different phrasing between the I swear I can sing that.
I believe in you, Umu.
Thank you. But I'm gonna like listen to it and try to exaggerate their phrasing. And just talk about why this bridge is. So just a second. Okay. Oh, well, I guess the first thing that makes One Peel's and Young K's part different is, of course, One Peel's part is filtered, and then also the lyrics are different. So he phrases, you don't, and it's very gentle, and then he suddenly jumps out on love. So it's like, you don't, and he kind of crescendos on don't, and then suddenly like, love me. And so he's just building.
That's almost like that's almost like a jazz sort of thing, like how like kind of like the vocals in a lot of jazz songs are kind of like emulating like a muted trumpet, and you just letting it go, or just like letting it increase, that sort of thing. So there's that jazzy element to it.
Right. Especially since he's leading up to an unfiltered part, which is Young K's. So this whole phrase, he's just crescendoing up to Young K's part. So even when the melody goes down, he's still crescendoing to Young K's part. And I will repeat this part over and over and over and over and over again and never get tired of it. Like this next few seconds is the reason, like, is it a good reason why, or no, a good example why Young K is my favorite male vocalist in all of the K-pop. And I cannot sing like he does. Yes, all the K-pop. He's so theatrical. He can sing in whatever style he wants, and he can do any. This is really going. Okay, so he immediately when he starts with "You Don't," he already sings it differently from One Pure. He goes, "You don't." He goes, "You don't," and yeah, and then the knee, he like adds some like growl to it. He emphasizes the slide a lot more, so he stays longer on the notes, not that on the note lower to the note that he's going to. And then, of course, when he moves on to the lyrics, "Just leave me," he adds even more growl to his voice. "Just leave me." You know, that part. Oh, and then, of course, it goes back. But I'm just obsessed with that little section and the difference between their vocals and then the amount of sexy, sassy.
Yeah, sassy. There's a lot of sass.
Into his line. Okay, I'm done.
All right. All right. Next up, we have So
Wait!
Cool.
I'm not done!
I'm not done. All right, we're back to 1, 2, 1 you.
Okay. One step. So there's this part where there's one step? What's one step? Wait.
1, 2 step.
What is the one step? When does that happen? I have written down my notes, one step, falsetto, and capital no. Okay, it must be during the last chorus. I think it's like, one step, one step. I literally have no idea when that appears in the song, but I have one step.
She likes one step, guys.
And then, am I looking at the right thing? Oh, I'm not looking at the right thing.
The wrong song. I was gonna say there's a song later on with lots of stuff falsetto, but
I am different.
Okay.
I mean,
Anyway.
I am done. I was looking at my notes for marathon.
That's what I thought. Okay.
We'll
Anyways,
get there.
anyway.
We'll get there. Don't worry, Umu.
Now we have the song "So Cool," which also
The
ended
cover
up
of the Sister
passing. Which also ended up passing "Headache," and which is a song I was like, "Oh, this will be my favorite," and it's passed by like 2 songs on the album. I was like, crazy. So immediately when this started off with the ba 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 ba, I was like, it reminded me of the freaking Hitchhiker song, like the blah 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
On the SM.
Yeah, the SM. Was that station song?
Yeah, I don't know if it was station
No, it's
or
not
if he
station
just
song,
randomly made it,
Oh,
but yeah, like the beat in the beginning reminded me of that, and then it went into like again, like I guess more of like an 80s rock style song, and yeah, so like the guitars again really nice and clean, the vocals always clean, but the part that stood out to me that really made this song was like Young K's rap part.
Yes.
Like I was like, holy crap, what is this? It's like straight up like a Beastie Boys style like rap, like Run DMC or something like that, and I was not expecting that at all. I was like, yes, that made the song for me. I love it, and the song lives up to its name.
I'm just sad you didn't do like it's a cover of a Sistar song.
You did.
I know, but that's because you did it.
That actually is one of my favorite.
the obvious one.
It's usually
Sistar
one of my.
song.
That's actually one of my favorite Sistar songs too.
But no, yeah, I thought this is so like weird and awesome and just experimental. That like literally in my notes, I said I'm just gonna let Umu explain what's going on because I have no idea how to explain what the hell's happening in this song. But either way, I love it, and I'm always down for weird experimental rock. Day6.
Yeah, I'll let Umu explain the technical stuff. I'll just sort of stick to genre and that sort of thing. So, yeah, this one is a lot more, I guess, like, they're definitely jumping around in terms of style of rock where they went, like, 80s synth and, like, maybe, like, ballad rock
yeah.
and then pop
hard
and
rock.
then hardcore or hard rock. And this is more of, like, a funk rock type thing, like maybe just a bit of like I don't know, Red Hot Chili Peppers or like Faith No More, especially like they had a song like that was on Rock Band that I just remembered, like very similar sort of vibe to this. That being said, I don't know, I guess in comparison to just like how outstanding everything is just it kind of becomes a victim of it doesn't end up standing out as much just because every song on this album is kind of just like insanely good. But that being said, yeah, obviously the Young K rap was just incredible. Because when was the last time like we got a legitimate Young K rap in a like not since probably like Everyday 6 whatchamacallit dance.
He raps in Morning. No, in Talking To, in the Shoot Me album.
Yeah, that's the thing they do. They've sort of gone away, or I remember that was sort of a thing. It was like, okay, we're gonna have Young K rap a lot, and then we're just like they changed. They went away from that. Like they remade Congratulations entirely just because they wanted to sort of change. They wanted to go away from that just stylistically. But yeah, it's still cool to see him rap from time to time. So I did enjoy that part.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Oh, what? Did something happen?
You
froze.
froze for a second.
Oh, hello. I'm still
You're good
here.
now.
So this song actually didn't think it was too harmonically weird. I think the reason why it sounds weird is because again of chromaticism and the fact that it starts. Okay, I'm gonna just skip the pitch up thing for a second and talk about how it started with falsetto. Really, really not often do we start songs with falsetto because you try to start in a lower range. So then you can build up to a higher range in the chorus when there's thicker texture and you can sing louder in a higher range. But so it starts with such low instrumentals, really high vocals that it starts off sounding weird and you're not used to it. So that's the first thing that grabs your attention. And then is that a guitar that's doing that? Because I've tried to listen to it multiple times.
I couldn't figure it out either.
I think it might be a guitar, and it's just like going up half steps. It starts, it like actually goes up, I think 3 whole octaves, like.
Yeah, it's definitely some type of sort of chopped sample that they like. Again, like Jacob mentioned, that's a really big Beastie Boys sort of thing. Like they have entire songs where just like that was the instrumental of it. Basically, they just put a drum beat and that as the instrumental of it, and it still made it interesting just because like sort of like chopping instrumentals together like or chopping or separating it like that was kind of just like new at that point. So yeah,
right. I think another thing that lends to this song not sounding, sounding interesting is the fact that their vocals are the phrases are pretty short. Da, 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 da. Like it allows like lots and lots of space. So it's as like choppy almost as what's underneath. And so it's like a little bit halting and not as lyrical as their other songs. Bass. Oh, yeah. Cool thing about the bass doesn't move around too much, but during one of the sections, I didn't know which section, but like it stays at one note for a really long time, and then it jumps up an octave and then back, then jumps an octave and then back. And I felt like I really enjoyed like the first half of the song because it does feel really fresh with all the amount of things going on, and chromaticism and the like harmonic side steps. But at the very end, I feel like it one too many times without variation because I think they do the chorus 2 or 3 times, or like the bridge isn't long enough, and so I got a tiny bit tired of it by the end. But like if you watch our first listen, Kevin's like, I'll never get tired of that. So it just it depends how much you like.
Spam it.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next.
Marathon.
Coming up next, we have Marathon. And again, kind of an unexpected turnover in
freaking out
in like 5 frames
genre.
Per second.
Yes.
Yeah. It's true.
That's the thing. It was just like, oh my god. But it's like.
All right. So anyways, with Marathon.
Sorry.
They sort of did another like unexpected switch in pace, I guess. Going back to the more like softer I guess vibe that they had in the beginning of the album. So I guess the album kind of goes into bell curve as far as that goes. And I really like this. It's a lot more. I'd say this is probably the poppiest thing they have on the album, and that's definitely not a bad thing, because it still stands out quite a lot. Like the again, like there's a lot of like the subtle like drumming in the background. I think was turned out really nice. Everybody's vocals stand out like always. And I feel like I'm kind of just like beating a dead horse with like a lot of the things I'm saying about these songs, but like if there were any other band, I'd have to like point it out. It's just, yeah. I think this turned out really well. I don't know what it's like, early 2010s, like really like pop rock sort of thing. I don't know what artist I'd pinpoint it at, but yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like this, I couldn't pin it down to a certain artist, but yeah, I thought it had some fantastic guitar parts, and I loved the use of like the wind instruments. It gave it kind of a big band sound. The one, like, it's weird because I like this song, but it does seem a bit like all over the place. It's like kind of hard to focus on, if that makes any sense. But it is a good like feel good pop rock song, and I still enjoy it for that.
I mean, yeah, it is kind of all over the place. Maybe sort of purposefully, just because I feel like the soul and blues elements that this song is sort of pulling from is sort of rooted in like improvisation and just sort of like odd time signatures, or just like sort of like not necessarily playing on beat or perfectly all the time. So yeah, I really as someone that did jazz band in high school, I definitely have a huge appreciation of this style of music. Maybe to nail it down to specific artist, I mean, like sometimes like John Mayer sort of messes around with like blues and sort of like jazz soul fusion type of music from time to time. So maybe early John Mayer, he's definitely more into just sort of like not country, I'm just sort of like bluegrass music currently. Or maybe there's another artist I was really into back in the day called just like Alan Stone. He had like a song called Figure It Out that got really popular. So yeah, just that it's definitely that sort of revival of this type of like blues feel that sort of gained popularity in the 2000s. I'd say my favorite part of it is the like that sort of like bridge. We're just like we're just them saying it's okay to be slow, not necessarily for the vocals.
And then walking bass.
Yes, walking bass line. I'm such a sucker for it, just because pretty much that's the extent of like my bass playing. I was like do 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 do. I mean, pretty much like all I did in jazz band was just like, okay, walking bass line, walking bass line, walking bass line. And then one day my band director was like, okay, we're gonna do a bass like focused song called "The Chicken" by Jaco Pastorius. And I'm just like, it's like dun da 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 da. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is too much for me. So like, yeah, I really love. I'm just a huge sucker for walking bass lines, and in complementary with those walking bass lines, just like the lightness of the drums, were just basically Doan's just switching to just like mostly like very like light like ride cymbal taps, that sort of thing. They lower the instrumental of it to sort of go hand in hand with the softness of the vocals. It's okay to be slow. Like it helps complement that section of it. So that's why this might be my favorite song, just because again I appreciate the intricacy. I love them sort of dipping their toes into non-pop or rock styles of music. So yeah, just again, there's a lot of intricacy here that I've really just come to appreciate in listening to it for the past week or so.
Also, am I the only one, or is Andrew frozen for you guys?
No,
he's not
I'm
frozen.
moving.
He's here. He's moving.
Okay.
Could you hear him
He
at least?
is very frozen. I can hear him, but he's just
Okay.
not moving. So I was.
No, that's
Okay.
fine.
Anyways, I second everything you just said. I just thought it was so true to this style that they're trying, and I can't name any specific artists, but it's definitely that jazz organ at the beginning while like harmonizing with it on the vocals, and it's such a cool texture because your voice can't vibrato that fast, and so we have this very smooth, solid, like I think Young K was harmonizing with 2 notes above or below the jazz organ. And so it was just such a cool texture that they start with, and the chord progression felt very familiar of like an older song. And then, right after that section, you kind of expect it to build, but it goes immediately just to guitar and vocals. And then I wrote in my notes, I really like this part. And I really like this part. I'm just going to read what I said because it's hard vocal leaps to falsetto when Wonpil sings. Like there's this part where Wonpil could have easily just sung notes just in his chest voice, but instead he flips to falsetto, and I attempted doing that, and it was hard. That's actually the same thing for this second verse and Jenny's solo. It's like pushing from chest voice to falsetto while like going up like a certain amount of steps. It's hard. It's hard to do. So I was like, respect. And then when Young K takes, this happened a lot. This happened in the bridge and in So Cool, but or the one before that, whatever, the Wonpil starts and then crescendos to Young K's part, because Young K takes the same melody as Wonpil and sings it at a louder dynamic. So we already have variation. Okay, and this is the first time they say one step. This is the song where they sing one step. And someone sings like really, really freaking high. And it happens multiple times. This is like also the horn line, obviously fake, but not too bad of a sound, saxophone and trumpets. They interrupt to transition to the next section, and then the next section they appear again. So they don't use the horns just for that one transition, which has been a problem in past songs, where they just use like one instrument to transition and then it never appears again in the song. So I like that they introduce it as like it kind of like a slap to the face, but then like it continues on in the song. And this is another song that I think really highlights Sungjin's voice. And oh my god, those guitar runs!
Yes. Yeah, that's super John Mayer-esque. Like that's like John Mayer out the ass, man.
Okay, because we don't hear Day6 do many solo runs very often, and so I feel like they're growing more confident and are able to, show off more and more on their instruments. And the bridge, it's such a classic bluesy walking bass line, with the vocals, typically doing melodies that the bass line would require. And I have to really respect Domoon for, picking up this out, because, he's been training as a rock percussionist the whole time. And jazz is so different. It's such a different swing. Though I have a feeling that if my jazz percussionist person on my channel, Steven, would listen to it, he'd be like, yeah, I can tell he's a rock. He's trained as
because when you're just kind of like transitioning into
he's done that in the past.
Yeah, you have habits
like
you
we were
sort of bring
listening to
into
a jazz. We were listening to a jazz song the other day, and he's like, the drummer is trained as a rock. And he's like, I can tell. And I was like, ooh, please tell me more. I can't remember what reaction. But and then when the horns return towards the end of the song, the vocals double it, and once again, someone sings pretty freaking high, and that's probably Young K because his range is insane. And I love the kind of improvisation or just whatever the lead guitar has during the last chorus, because once again, you have a new melodic line instead of, I think, they might do vocal riffs in the last chorus too, on top of having the new guitar line. Mm-hmm. So I just, that at this moment, this song is my favorite song.
Mm-hmm. Good choice, as are all the songs on this album.
They're all one of Jacob's favorite songs.
They are. All right, anyways, I guess from here we can move on to Beautiful Feeling. Aramdawn Nuki. All right. So yeah, again, wrapping up the album with a more lighter feeling. Although instead of in contrast to Hurt Road, it being pretty sad and sorrowful, this one is it has more of a, open outlook and happy and, stuff like that. I haven't actually read the lyrics, so I don't know if that's true, but judging by the title, I'd assume so. Just the drums sort of just setting the beat throughout the entire song. That I felt was pretty effective. It's something you commonly find in a lot of songs, but There's something about Doan's drumming that I just love. And so in the chorus, the vocals definitely stand out. And also, if I can get to it and where I was listening. Anyways, I remember Doan singing. So, yeah.
Yeah, bridge.
I loved that. Yes, all right, I got that. I'm listening to my headphones as I'm talking as well, so I was like, let me find it. But yeah, I was really happy to see that because I remember him saying that he was getting singing lessons so he can also sing on the tracks. So yeah, I'm glad he actually did get a part on one of the songs.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a good way to end the album, and just more of the like classic acoustic Day6 song. Like, this is something we've heard before.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, starting with the more ballady, piano focused song. I thought it was a really good way to bookend the album. It's fantastic as always.
I'd say in a vacuum, I probably enjoy this song, but I guess the sort of reason why this would probably be like my least favorite but I mean, that's like, that's kind of like nitpicking at this point, but
who's your favorite child?
No, don't do that. I'd say probably
who's your favorite SNSD member?
No, you don't do that. I'd say just in terms of like it not standing out in comparison to just the songs I really did enjoy is that I know that Day6 is sort of they're a idol band sort of group, but I'd say the style of song that they chose to go with here is kind of something we see from like other like not like actually like dance groups, and they're like, okay, we need to do like a valid like emotional track. This is the kind of song they go
Chant
to.
ending. Yeah, ending of the concert.
Yeah. So it's definitely it's lost its luster after a while, but obviously Day6 does it well. It's just it's just when you hear it from like non like idol or like dance groups continuously, it just sort of like loses the effect even if you're hearing it from a proper band.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming in. In fact, that was my very first opinion on it. But then the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. And I'm actually going to go on a little breakdown analysis because I didn't say anything during my first listen video because I was like, yeah, it's a chant song, it's comforting. And the reason I almost feel like this kind of sticks out, not like as a sore thumb on this album, but I feel like the rest of the album feels very fresh. But this song isn't necessarily a fresh feeling, but it's very comforting, warm, and therefore, since it brings such a different vibe to the table, I feel like it doesn't necessarily match with the rest of the songs on the album. But okay, breakdown time. So we start off with this nice rhythmic syncopated guitar and piano line that emphasizes beat 1 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, or 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3. And that's what, carries us and carries the motion on to when the bass comes in, and then the piano and acoustic guitar stays the same, but we have, the bass is something new, and then Jay starts singing a new melody. Mm-hmm. And I really, really love when Jay sings, "Baby da da da," because
sassiness
it's
his voice.
Very haunting because the harmony is a lower fourth. There's a fourth of an interval between the two notes, and our typical harmonies in pop music are thirds, and so fourth, it just adds a tiny bit more dissonance, so I feel like it adds like a haunting, longing feeling, da, 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 and just contributes to the overall atmosphere of the song. Then of course we have this little tiny acoustic guitar break right before da, 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 that part, and it's such a contrast from before because we have this really long held out note with really dramatic tom hits with bunches of reverb. Like they're just trying to make this chorus the most majestic thing ever. But also this whole note that they hold out, the da 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 da, contrasts nicely for when the second half of the chorus is more reliant on the guitar instrumentals, da, 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 like almost carrying the melody. But of course they have like, it's beautiful feeling. Of course they have like those little vocal interjections, but at that moment we're probably paying attention to the beat swaying back and forth, with our like wristbands. Day6 has like wristwatch, leaf, light things. And I don't know how to describe them. Light bands? Light band.
Yeah, light wristband. Yeah, something like that. It's not a light stick, it's a light layer.
Okay. Yeah, light wrist thing. And then, of course, the second verse is slightly different in melody, though we same chord progression. And then during the bridge, there's a new progression, new groove. Jay starts singing in the range that they were before, but then dips down a tiny bit, so we're at a lower range. Some people say love with Jay. Oh! Another moment that really stood out to me in the song is okay. I'm trying to remember the melody. It's like some people say love. I don't know. And then Sungjin harmonizes above it. Like he goes, say love, but he like says say love almost later than Jay. So like some people say, yeah, it was like some people say love, and like they change notes at different times. At first it's parallel harmonies, and then they change and like end differently, either rhythmically or harmonically or something. And so this harmony really stands out. And on top of that, I think I need to really delve into this and listen more, but I think Young K is the one who does background vocals and harmonies the most in Day6. And I think the thing that appears the most in Day6 music is a member is singing a solo line and then someone is singing background vocals, which is different than background harmonies. Like, because when there's a harmony, it's someone singing the same exact rhythm as the main vocal line, but on different notes, and background vocals are just something completely different. It's the oohs, the ahs, or like a contrasting vocal line. And so it's very rare that we get two different members obviously harmonizing together. I'm pretty sure that's rare. And so the fact that Sungjin and Jay harmonize during this bridge, I think they harmonize one more time towards the end of the bridge too. But it really stands out because Young K harmonize or something else. So we need more Sungjin harmonizing with Jay. We like this. Yeah. Okay.
Just to read a comment real quick. Bob on Suck says, Andrew needs to keep the beat with his ears when Umu sings. So basically, when you're like da da da. Okay.
Oh my god. Wow, that took an hour and a half.
Yep. That happens.
It's a good album. That's why you could. Yeah, that's basically like an entire podcast length.
Yeah, Barberettes half as long. So.
People are gonna watch it anyway.
It's Christmas music
because your name is on it.
Yep. Anyways, I guess we can get into ratings.
We should explain.
I think it's no surprise. Wait, what? Oh yeah, the rating system for people who don't know, because there's a lot of new people here. Basically, we rate on a scale of 6 out of 6 for songs, 3 out of 3 for concepts, which would be like music video, like arrangement of tracks in the album art, anything that has to do with the overall concept. Yeah, choreography. And also, lastly, a 1 out of 1 for a bias point. So basically, like, because we only do whole points, it's basically to decide whether it's a 9 or a 10, whether you deserve that. That's what it's meant for. But we end up just giving it to everyone.
Everything.
So
yeah,
it's
pretty
basically a free space bingo. So there's that. So, anyways, I think it's no surprise that I actually gave this album 10 out of 10, just because the way I do it for like music scoring, like the 6 out of 6, if I would take every single song in the album and put it on my playlist, bam, it gets 6 out of 6. Like. That's good enough for me. Like, this was a really, really good quality album. I loved every song on it, and so that's why I gave it a 6. And then I also gave it 3 out of 3 for concept, because I think, like somebody mentioned in chat, like the arrangement of the tracks is very nice. Like, it's sort of like the vibe-ish. It's like very bell curvy, and it also seamlessly, I guess, links into the part 1 album. So you could sort of like arrange them as a full album on like together, which is like unrelated. I guess I like to do that with Bullpagan Sa's Red Diary album. I like to listen to that all as one thing. And this definitely links up well together. And then music video, it's super, super well like pulled off the 80s aesthetic. Again, that one scene with the neon panels behind them, that was beautiful. I love that shot in the music video. And yeah, so I obviously will give them a bias point. So yeah, 10 out of 10. I absolutely love this album.
Surprise, surprise. Since I love everything, I also gave it a 10 out of 10. Because I give everything a 10 out of 10.
Yep.
No, it's not true, but
we just love everything here.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm easy to please. But no, yeah, I thought pretty much the same reasons Jacob had. Like, I thought all the songs were fantastic. I'd regularly listen to all of them. And yeah, I thought the music video was fantastic. Arrangement of the songs. Obviously, they don't have choreo, but yeah. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
Okay, I'm giving it a 5 out of 6 for the music. I did enjoy most of it, but again, I don't think it necessarily hit my standards for like perfect. Like, I'd add everything, or just I'd want to listen to everything over and over necessarily. But that being said, what I did like is just outstanding. So I mean, obviously, it still deserves recognition in that department. 3 out of 3 for the concept, just because like I am a sucker for anything 80s aesthetic, like old school sort of stuff. Like this is like it's something that again, they nailed it down so perfectly. I don't think the song of Days Go By would have worked as good if they didn't nail down the visual element of it. So I really weigh that just very heavily in terms of like how well they pulled off this concept. So that's a perfect score of 3 out of 3. And I'm giving him a bias point because obviously I have to, or else Jay will yell at me on Twitter or something like that. I don't know. And I mean, even before I knew who Day6 was, I was really, but once I realized who Day6 was at KCON, I was just like, wow, they're an awesome group. And then like, ever since then, I've just sort of definitely fallen in love. Or again, Day6 is such a breath of fresh air when it comes to doing a show or like constantly listening to K-pop or whatever. Where like, well, my background is definitely in just like pop, punk and rock music, that sort of thing. So just to always get those flavors in a K-pop context is always nice, and just always sort of it's a comfort food for me. Basically, it feels like home. So it's always something I'm going to appreciate, and they've definitely been like the biggest sort of catalyst, or just like the biggest driver of that sound. And I hope that it sort of helps inspire more groups to sort of pick up this style, or just do more like band stuff, just because again, there really is only a handful. So that'd be a 9 out of 10 for me.
Right. So you nailed it when you said that their music is so comforting. I was actually going to tweet. I've had this, sometimes I just write tweet ideas in my notes on, yeah, you stole my tweet, god damn it. I wrote this down, and it's just Day6's music feels like home. And it's just ridiculous, because like, if I'm having a hard day and I'm like, just like transitioning from one thing to another and I'm stressed and I listen to Day6, sometimes I just get lost in it and I start crying, or I start missing home, or like good crying, like letting out emotion, like, like, oh, I love them so much. I love this music so much. And they are such a comfort blanket. All their music, even the upbeat song, just feels so nice to listen to. And there's a reason why they're my, second favorite group artist, not in the wide world, but like in the Korean music
K-pop sphere.
And so I give this a 10 out of 10. It might this is my
Andrew's
first
the
10
hater
out
this
of 10 on True Daebak.
You could have been throbbing
for once.
It could have been throbbing, Andrew.
I know
So
it could
close.
have, but I mean, the songs might ungrow on me, but at this very moment, I can really appreciate everything. And they just keep either they bring something fresh to the table, or they're, re-bringing something to the table with, these throwback songs. And when they did redo these, they did it really well. They did their homework. It doesn't feel half-assed like some, retakes on older music. And so 6 out of 6 for music. As for concept, this is the very first physical album, Day6 album that I bought.
Ooh.
Because they look really, really good. I feel like past photo shoots haven't been the most flattering for the members. Like, they're obviously very good looking, but I was waiting until they had like a concept that really drew me in, and I thought they did a really fantastic job. with the
Agreed.
with the fashion, with the makeup, with the hair. I don't mind the rat's tail. I don't mind the what's it called? That thing. I don't mind it at all. I know some people are like a little turned off by it, but it fits the style, and I just love everything about this album. And the music video, at first I was a little overwhelmed because I've never watched 80s music videos, so I wasn't necessarily sure what it would be like. But I think they really stuck to the style, and I love it when they were goofing off and they were dancing a little bit with their instruments. And it brings me lots of joy to watch it. So I give, is it 3 out of 3 for that?
Yeah,
No.
3 out of 3.
Right? Yeah. 3.
And then
of course one bias point because I think they're the group that I listen to the most nowadays. So
I feel justified now
I'll take any
because
album.
we gave it a 10.
Daebak album.
Yes, definitely a truly Daebak.
It's not
album.
a perfect. It's not. It's
not
Well, it is a
properly
perfect 10.
Daebak.
It's not a perfect
It's not
10.
it's not a perfect 10. It rounds up to a 10 out of 10.
It rounds up to a 10, which means it gets a shiny thingy.
Well,
I
it would've
wanted
got
to make
shiny
that throbbing
graphics, but yeah.
thumbnail. We haven't been
No.
able to do this. It's a bow
No,
album.
you do not want to.
We've done it once.
Yeah, we've done it once. But I mean, just in retrospect, I'd probably have to say I enjoyed this part 2 or Youth part 2 a lot more than I did in comparison to Youth Part 1. And that's not necessarily like trying to slander that album necessarily, but I do feel like this was just really incredible from top to bottom and just in all aspects. So it definitely is a lot more memorable, and it's probably going to land itself on our like some of our mini album of the year lists for Truly Daebak Awards. So that being said, just everyone in the chat, feel free to give your own scores if you're in the comments. Watching this, definitely give us share your thoughts on all songs and maybe give us your scores as well. Yeah.
You know what? Now that I think about it,
Also-
we reviewed part 1 with Kevin.
Yeah, we reviewed
we
part
did.
one.
Oh,
That's right.
yeah, I was wondering, yeah. What did he rate Shoot Me?
I don't
forget.
remember. I
think
think he
it was
rated it pretty decent, like 8 or
fairly-
9, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, he likes this album better than Shoot Me, so.
Okay. So that's
All right.
We're not
I like
we're not
it.
alone in that.
All right. So I guess we can go on
And
to the next
people
topic.
talking about, oh,
Finally.
sorry.
No, go.
Go
Talk
ahead.
about the chat. If anyone is from Southern California, I'm gonna be. I ordered Day6 albums from their U.S. order, so they're having a free pickup in LA in Koreatown. So if anyone's in Southern California and picking up their albums, I'll be there. Then, yeah. Okay, moving on to the next topic.
Yes. I think this is Andrew's territory.
Yep.
It's definitely Andrew's territory.
Okay, topic 2 after an hour and a half is the Barberettes and their mini album that came out last year called Winter. So, Umu, do you know who the Barberettes are? Because I'm going to do a React to the K.
Yes.
Okay. Well, for the audience,
Oh.
then I'll do a React to the K style like intro sort of background. So,
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
Barberettes are a retro doo-wop inspired trio. Well, now a duo, sadly. They were inspired by the barbershop quartets from the 50s and 60s, and they the catalyst for what made them want to do like music or just go into the music industry was they found this old Korean I don't know, just like sort of a like 50s group called the Kim Sisters. They're all from Korea, and they were one of the first few Korean acts to break into America. Like they were on like Ed Sullivan like multiple times and everything. So they sort of just like wanted to model themselves after that sound. So yeah, just a lot of like really throwback style like doo-wop. Definitely like they started off doing like covers of like Mr. Sandman or just like songs like that, just like really like old school stuff. So you definitely. If you're not familiar with it, you should with them. That's sort of just like the overall basic idea behind the Barberettes. So every year for the past like 2 or 3 years they've done a winter or Christmas album, and this is the one from 2017. So this is part of our K-pop auto reverse sort of series where we're basically just do like retro throwback reviews. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first track is called White Blanket, featuring Gilgu Bongu. I think it's GB9. Yeah, the like their proper name is. So I'll go first, and then Umu, you go second, and then just like we'll follow from there.
Okay.
I mean, just pretty much me. This entire like review is just gonna be me gushing about like how much I love the Barberettes, their harmonies, and their vocals, and everything. Like that's just gonna be a constant. This song starts off very just like slow and very just like minimal instrumentation. It's just like mostly just vocals, and then it really starts to come in with like I could definitely tell it's like it's like standing bass and like hi-hat and like there's snare clicks and there's like all this like sleigh bells and everything. They definitely do a good job of building the sort of Christmas atmosphere. There's a really good balance of both male and female vocals between the Barberettes and GB9. Definitely helps fill out that dynamic range or just like all of the vocal ranges that they have. And obviously, the thing I really appreciate just in terms of like the entire album is that it does a really good job of evoking the emotions they want out of a Christmas album. Because Christmas, you think pretty much everyone's a kid on Christmas. Like, I don't know if you guys just celebrate or not, but like pretty much you're like, oh my God, I want presents. Like I'm still like that and I'm freaking 25 or whatever. You're just like so super excited when Christmas comes around. So a lot of the music tends to be very childlike and joyous and just very upbeat in that sort of way. So like I really do appreciate that aspect that they bring to this Christmas music. And for anyone that actually hasn't listened to or wishes to listen to this, you can actually find it on like Spotify. I believe it's on like iTunes. Probably find it on YouTube if you wanted to listen along. And just to close out like that, the outro, I just really love. I'm such a sucker for just like slowing it down, just like building the ending, and it's perfect. It's perfect to me. And I mean, like I'm a really big connoisseur of Christmas songs, and this is one of my favorites easily. So, I'm really interested to hear what your thoughts are on this.
I have 2 whole pages of notes on this song. I got most excited for this song. Yeah, man. I went hardcore. So, yeah, basically, my overall thoughts of this album is just who can say no to jazzy harmonies? And
yeah, you'd be crazy to say no to this.
Say no. How? Like, especially since there's no autotune. There's literally no autotune. Everything's so natural. Like, maybe once I heard added reverb towards the rest is completely natural, and even at times you can hear their lips smacking and their breath. And just everything happening. So it sounds very real and very down to earth, and that's what you want with Christmas music. Now, okay, so what I love about this song is that I feel like with Christmas ballads, you need rubato. And rubato means just freedom of time. You aren't in a, you don't have to move to a certain, but you can, just flow how you want to. And they have a lot of that at the beginning. And then just one small complaint. So they started off and they flow along with whatever time they want. And then they have this little transition where they end one phrase and go into like sleigh bell little part. And they do string rubato. And string rubato is the when strings play. And this one part, I wish they just drew that out a bit longer. In the track, it lasts for 4 beats or less. And it's just at the same dynamic. It's just immediate transition. I feel like they could have made it more dramatic if they maybe...
Especially when almost the entire rest of the song. Yeah, they were building up this, like the intro and the outro, they're definitely doing a lot of that building up. So that definitely would have improved the song.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, that's just one complaint. So next thing I said that, there's obviously no autotune because some of the harmonies were a little pitchy, but actually most of it's really, really good. So you can tell how comfortable they are singing together. Like, I'm curious whether they sang in different rooms or they all surrounded a mic with a mic and just sang at the same time.
Yes.
And then I loved the change of texture to just the piano about halfway through the song. Like, the song was flowing in a certain way, and at the perfect moment it knew when to change. And that actually happened a lot with these songs, the whole album. And then this song was, is it supposed to be comedic? Because I didn't have lyrics, and halfway through, like, there's baby laughter, like little kid laughter, and then they pitch down the voices. They're like, I was really confused. I was like, this must be funny or something. They're talking about like maybe kids messing up Christmas. So I don't know.
I believe before that part with the baby laughter, she's like, "Egigatayo," which is like a baby.
Like a baby.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Yeah, it means like a baby. Yeah. That's
I was
one
like,
of the parts that I
what?
actually understand in the song.
Yeah.
Something that I notice a lot in all Christmas music is that like constant eighth notes in the piano, whether it's a chord or a single or like octaves, plus a jazzy bluesy line over it equals Christmas.
Yep.
Like you automatically
Yeah, that's the
connect
formula.
Christmas to yeah, exactly. Cute quote at the end. I don't. That's what I wrote. Cute quote at the end. I guess there's a cute quote at the end. Yeah.
Merry Christmas. I don't know. That's the only
That's
thing. And Happy New Year. That's the
Yeah. No, didn't it go to Jingle Bells? It was like da da da. Or it was some.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. At the end,
Yeah,
it quoted some.
they sort of do like that. They go. That's a recurring thing. They don't actually do Jingle Bells in this entire album, but there's a couple songs where they sort of like incorporate Jingle Bells. The first few notes. Yeah, like the first few notes of Jingle Bells into it. So.
All right, so my turn now.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I feel like again they're definitely going into a very like classic vibe. Like it's just very quintessential.
We're going on a journey with them.
I just want chocolate.
Okay.
You're talking. Don't mind me.
Okay.
Anyways, but yeah, like what Uma was saying before with the like omnidirectional microphone, like that was one of my favorite parts. Is like it feels like we're kind of just sitting like in a room or in like a cafe or something like that, and the three of them are right in front of me. I love when they do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it
like
doesn't feel like an actual like, oh, it's a song. It feels like they're singing like, yeah, it feels like, oh, it's just a carol that you're singing around like in front of the fire or whatever, in like inside your house or whatever. It's got that casual nature to it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things in music is when they play with the sound space and stuff like that. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite part of the song. Also, harmonizing, amazing as always, to be expected from the Barberettes.
Mm-hmm. Nate?
Yeah. So I'm not a huge fan of Christmas music, so I'm not gonna have too much to
dare
say
you?
about. Like I don't hate Christmas music, but it's just not something I really go out of my way to listen to.
Winter is coming, mate. Winter is coming.
Yeah, even during Christmas, I just like
this
if
is
it's on,
Christmas.
I'll listen to it. But like I don't hate it.
This actually comes out on
I'm
Christmas
not gonna
Day.
Play it myself.
This topic comes out
really?
on Christmas Day, so Merry Christmas,
Amazing.
everyone.
That works.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
Merry
That's right.
Christmas.
But yeah, I thought the song was good. I really like the mix of the solo singing and the harmonies that they do. Like they do a good mixture of like showcasing each member individually and then also having their signature barbershop quartet type harmonies and stuff. So yeah, I liked it.
All right, so the next song is, oh God,
It's okay. You can cry.
Yeah, it's okay. You
Santa
can
Claus
cry.
is coming.
Yeah, because it's just like
like-
it's like a super long title. Like,
Yeah.
I think the Korean is "It's okay, you
They're
can
also
cry."
conflicting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay, you can cry. Santa Claus is
But
coming
then-
to town.
Yeah.
So, just from the the outset of this song again, just like the unique vocalizations that they always add to their songs are just so unique. The BARBIETTES, like they always say the barber, like their name, the Barberettes. Like I'm pretty sure they did one of their songs is they did a reimagining of Barberan instead of ba 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 Barberan. They did ba 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 Barberettes. Yeah,
I love
Oh,
it.
that's great.
yeah, it's incredible. So I always love that detail in their music. So. I think like very obvious that comes through this song is the switching between Korean and English, so that definitely helps sort of make it unique, and obviously it makes it sort of unique, especially for us considering we're American speakers. So it's something different. It's not the same sort of carol that we've heard over and over. Again, sort of I'm just gonna obsess about like rim clicks the entire night, just like the sort of galloping effect that it helps add, just like reindeer sort of thing. Again, walking bass line just fits the song so well. Just like all the times like during the refrain where they slow down, like do 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 do, like they help build it up again, just very like jazzy, or just like every like time signature is or tempo is just like comes secondary to help building up that emotion, and like that spacing helps. That spacing definitely helps build up the emotion is when they finally get to like the climax of that. So just again, there's just so much intricacy to it, and I know we're over analyzing freaking Christmas music, but the way the Barberettes do it, it's just like it's no one does this basically. It's incredible. So Umu.
Right. My turn?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, turn.
So yeah, I think it starts off with like the really fast piano, right? So immediately what came to mind was Mariah Carey's I don't want a lot for Christmas.
All I want for Christmas is you.
Yeah, that immediately came to mind because it might notes, I don't know, but anyways, it's the thing that starts, and then the next thing that popped into my mind when listening to this, I was like, stand up bass, yes. I was so excited to hear, just acoustic stand-up bass instead of like, electric.
I wish I learned. I wish I learned how to play it. Like we had one at our band room, but it was always broken, and then I never got a chance. And no, I'm lefty, so I have to. It just be an entire ordeal to like flip it around. But like I'm just like one day I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna buy a stand-up bass and find some room for it in my house and just start learning, because it's pretty much the same, except there's just no frets. Yeah.
Yeah, and much bigger. You have to reach further.
Yeah.
A longer neck.
Yeah.
And then so I love how this song started off with, you don't know it's about to be an arrangement of an already existing song. And so I didn't read the whole title. All I read was "It's Okay, You Can Cry." So I thought it was going to be original song. But then when was it Santa's Coming to Town, whatever the name of the song is, pops up, I was like, oh, is this going to be a medley? But then, the repeated melody kept going over and over, and I was like, oh, this is an arrangement. And I do think they put lots of thought into it, because lately I just don't, I'm sorry this is coming out on Christmas, but I just don't care about Christmas. It's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure
it is very stressful.
Get the perfect presents. Get the perfect presents for my family, and also like it's so much work putting up a tree, so much work putting up lights for such a small short amount of time, and I could go on and on, but I really don't want to ruin your Christmas cheer. No,
the lead up to Christmas is like complete nonsense. The actual Christmas day is definitely the most enjoyable part. Just like, I still need to go. I'm not done Christmas shopping. Like, not even joking. It's like 4 days away, and I need to buy gifts, and it's like, oh, yeah, that part I don't like.
Exactly, and like, now that I'm older, I know exactly what my parents are going to get me, because they know what I like, they know what I need, and it tends to be socks.
Yes, socks are the best Christmas present ever. Yo,
as you get older.
Yo, like seriously, when I was a kid, I hate socks. It was like, no, I need more socks.
No.
Yeah, I honestly run out all the time, especially at college.
Because just like I don't want to do laundry, just like
them in the dryers.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But anyway, so I was trying to talk about how what does make me feel like it is Christmas and me actually enjoy the time is the Christmas music that I grew up listening. And the reason why I'm talking about that is because I feel like there's like specific recordings that I'm attached to, and I don't like any other recordings, definitely. Right? Because like I'm sentimentally attached to that specific one. Mm-hmm. But listening to them, I felt like they brought a warmth to it and their own uniqueness to this song. Whereas if I was raised listening to this, it would just be as, big as like this, a different standard. So I just thought their take on this was absolutely very smart. And it felt, their take on this song felt like a big band take, but minus the brass. Because we had the stand-up bass, we had percussion that would play beneath, like, the shouting trumpets, saxes. And we have a funky guitar? I can't remember, but we also had the bluesy, I was going to say jazzy bluesy piano. Yeah, so I felt like, wow, this could definitely, the brass players probably cost a lot more than players in Korea to play for on a label. Oh, and I found it interesting that they chose to have a marimba. I believe it's a marimba. I can't always tell the sound wood metal thing that the percussion hit.
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
sometimes
it's marimba or it might be bells.
Sometimes it's like
Yeah.
oh, you might be like xylophone or whatever. Just like they like kind of like
Yeah.
it's similar, but yeah, I can't tell either. But there's another song that actually I believe has xylophone, so at least we have that.
Yeah. I think in this album they used the marimba once or twice.
Yeah,
So I thought it was an interesting choice to go with marimba because another not trope, but I guess a sound that Christmas music uses a lot are jingly things. So sleigh bells, normal bells, percussion instruments like xylophones and marimbas and all the other ones. So I was like, okay, I guess the reason why they chose to use marimba is because of trying to use the high sound and incorporate that into the song. And then of course there's I was connecting this to the first song of that album. There's more rubato in this song, and there's also more giggling babies. So
They must love the giggling babies on like some random keyboard.
True. I mean, giggling babies happen, right? And then the one last thing that was noticed in the song is that this song, I think more than others, they would sing in unison in the same exact octave. And so it wasn't as thick as a texture, and I almost preferred that they sang even more in harmonies throughout and not go to that unison, but I can see why. I think the reason why they went into unison is because it would emphasize the fact when they do go into a jazzy chord, it hits us in the face, hits us in the head, I don't know, hits us in the ears, and is more obvious. So like when they spread out into a thicker texture, it adds variation or something. So I could see why they would sing a lot in unison, but it's just me being picky and always wanting thick texture and harmonies.
Jacob.
So for me, I don't have a ton to say. It's the same, Christmas Carol we know and love. I love that they gave it Korean lyrics if those didn't exist already, but I bet they did. And yeah, great Barberettes vocals. It's hard to describe for me, I guess. Just Christmas music is hard to describe for me.
Yep.
So I don't have a ton of context, I guess.
I'm in the same boat. I do like the little unique part that they have in the middle of the song. I wish there was a little bit more like original parts to it. Instead of it mostly just being the song that everyone knows. But yeah, it's good.
So it's gonna be one of those kind of shows, huh? Where it's just like, oh my god, it's
100%.
amazing, and you're like, is it's Christmas music gonna need to be
It's Christmas music.
It's Christmas music as a new.
That's basically that's basically it. It's Christmas music.
All right, next up we have a proper medley between the first Noel and Oh Holy Night. So. I just think it's cool to pair these songs together as sort of a medley, just keeping them as one. So starting off with First Noel, harmonization obviously is incredible. Almost the entire song's in a cappella. I love how some parts of it are almost like a round where it's like Noel, and then the other part's like Noel. Like I'm just a sucker for all these like really traditional like elements. Despite this being like songs that are like hundreds of years old or whatever, it still fits in the context of Barberette's concept that they are a like retro doo-wop group, that they sort of managed to apply that sound to these traditional hymns in that sort of way. As for Oh Holy Night, which is probably like, which blew me away, and just like I still feel really emotional when I hear it, is because basically to sort of just do an analysis of it is like the instrumental is very minimal in this, and basically it's almost like it's like these bells that kind of remind me of like those things that you hang above a baby's crib and then you spin it and it like makes like sort of like music box noise or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what the instrumental sounds like, and it fits very well thematically. Yeah. It's like, okay, Christmas, baby Jesus, you're trying to be very childlike in that sort of nature. So okay, I'm probably going way too deep. Yeah, so it definitely fits in the sort of theme of Christmas, and it in that sort of way. And I mean, just these songs actually, again, we're just listening to like, they didn't do anything original with it necessarily in terms of just the arrangement, but these still hold a really like important place in my heart, just because I obviously grew up to listening to these songs. Like I remember like specifically like when I was a kid, I'd be like a scaredy cat, or just like I couldn't sleep or whatever. So like my mom would come and sing me like these Christmas carols and like Oh Holy Night and like Silent Night or whatever. So it has that sentimental attachment or a sentimental value to it. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoy this type of music. So that's probably why, just because my mom would sing me Christmas songs just to help me fall asleep when I was a kid.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I love how it starts off in acapella. I mean, basically throughout, if not for the music box, I guess would it be played on a synth, maybe? But it sounded so acoustic. It was a really great sound. But I love the beginning where one of the vocalists held out tonic, and then one of them had like an ascending line above tonic, and one of them had a descending line. So it was almost polyphonic in that way. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they move on to one melody with a lower harmony. And then the next phrase, the melody continues with the same member. And then the other member switches to upper harmonies. So, like, right now we're covering all bases, which is freaking awesome. And then they, like, the harmonies switches between thirds, fourths, fifths, and octaves. So we're constantly, like, it isn't parallel harmonies. We aren't singing, exactly like this. Yeah. It's more like, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. That's what makes it more. It's way more interesting than singing it as a straight up harmony. Just because I feel like that's pretty much that's bog standard for when it comes to anything Christmas music. But yeah, just that sort of aspect that they add to it just makes it so much more intricate.
Yes, exactly. And so because it's stuck around moving harmonies and simple textures, I just felt that this was very beautiful and right to the point. And I love there were key, since this was a medley and we were trying to include different songs, there were several key changes that they did throw in there. And so I'd get into the mood and I'd feel really comfortable, and then it would like sidestep into a new key. I'd be like, what? We went somewhere. No, that's why I have like it's called a sleepy time playlist on my phone that I have to listen to because I have insomnia, and so I have to calm myself down. And I had to remove all the songs with modulations on it, or like with any interesting chords whatsoever. Otherwise, I can't fall asleep because my brain is just like, must analyze what's happening. So, anyways, I thought it was a beautiful key change, transition to Oh Holy Night, and love the music box sound. Isn't Holy Night taken at a slower tempo usually? Was this fast?
Yeah, this is definitely a bit more sped up, because I mean most hymns are just very slow and just sort of like in that sort of way. But yeah, this is definitely a bit faster than what I'm used to hearing. But I mean, despite that, it didn't bother me necessarily, just because again I think it still fit. I guess they just wanted to match First Noel better, as opposed to just like slowing it down way too much. It works better in the context of a medley.
Exactly. And then just the last thing that I put was OMG, the ending, secondary. And it, like, you feel like it does do a step and starts prolonging a different key, so you feel like it's going to modulate, but it's actually the ending. So I was like, whoa, we just ended in a totally new harmonic space. What just happened? Lots of dates. But yeah, so I thought it was just a really cool take on it, and they added their own flair.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought their vocal performance in this song particularly was really, really good. I liked how like stripped back the instrumental was for most of the song. It made it feel very like, I guess, naked and vulnerable, which I feel like is really helps for like, I guess, the coziness of the like Christmas type songs.
Mm-hmm.
And stuffy. Anyways, the the way they meshed together, I thought worked really well. So yeah, I think this is probably my favorite on the album is this cover here.
Same actually.
Yeah, I really like the use of the marimbas, like Umu talked about, they use a couple times in the album. I especially liked it in this song. And I think like the one thing I wish this song did more was mix the two songs. Where it was mostly like until the end, it was just like they did the first Noel and then they did Oh Holy Night. At the very end, they like merged them a bit. But I wish it was more mashup-y throughout the whole song. But it was, overall it was good.
I think songs like these are just like exactly the type of thing that you need to show people if you want to be, or it showcases like the amount of vocal talent that the Barberettes have, in that basically they don't really need much instrumentation to carry it necessarily, just because like they are the instruments essentially. Like they're able to carry songs just on their own, just doing everything a cappella essentially. Next up, we have an original track called My Winter Wonderland. And again, just building up that childlike atmosphere with the xylophone, just sort of, again, just very minimalist in that sort of way. It's just that one instrument, and then the vocals, and then it builds up with the violin, or this like string orchestra, and then like the pianos, and the song's just beautiful. It's so beautiful, and this is another song that makes me almost cry at times, just because like I feel the emotion in it and everything. Just like that's pretty much Barberettes in a nutshell. Just like their music's so beautiful, it just makes you cry. Yeah, and again, they're just like and I think the thing that really contributes to that is all of them have different vocal ranges and flavors or whatever. So obviously, the
textures.
Yeah, the difference in the timbre of their voices definitely adds to that element of it. So, Umu, I know you're moving, but can you look at your notes and walk at the same time?
Oh, right, my notes! Okay, I'm going back and then I'll get water.
Why does the frame rate improve when she's walking around?
My computer's like, wait, oh shit, gotta catch up, gotta speed up. Okay, this is my Winter Wonderland. Yeah, so I said marimba plus high voice, heart, and then I thought it was really cool how it began where the marimba's progression moved when the vocals did. So like the vocals would take a break, so progression. And it just flowed that way. And then, of course, we had a beautiful cello. And I just want to thank the Barberettes, even though, like, they haven't made it big. They still spent so much money to get musicians, like, real musicians.
Yeah, that's the one.
Acoustic everything on this album. Oh,
that's the one thing I feel bad about is just, like, or the one big reason I wanted to cover this is because there's a lot of people that don't know the Barberettes, and they put so much into it just from, like, adding their own flavor to the song, paying for all these expensive like actual instruments, and I'm just like, people need to appreciate. They're honestly one of the most underrated underrated groups in all of music, just because I feel like more people need to like hear the beauty that they bring to all this music. So that's why I wanted to do this topic ultimately, just because I know attaching you to this, it's like, oh my god, everyone's gonna look up the Barberettes now.
Oh, I mean, yeah, their sound is so beautiful and needed. I'm just glad that they exist. And going back to My Winter Wonderland, when I was listening to the melody, it sticks in a minor key, and I kept I kept expecting to hear a Picardy third, but we never did. We never heard any major moment in the melody. And so I was like, actually, I'm glad that it stuck to its key, because major in minor songs have kind of become a trope, or at least in Kevin's opinion. I still don't mind it. Yeah, and like so we stayed in the minor key, but then once we reached the bridge, we either modulated or we just had a bunch of secondary dominants, but basically we got a little harmonically adventurous. And there was like this cool, one of the vocalists did this mini vocal riff, and I was like, damn girl, whoa, that's amazing. Then it ends kind of how it begins, where the piano plays the exact same that it did. Oh, this cute little palindrome.
Yeah, they do that a lot in their songs, just like the palindrome sort of thing. It definitely helps sort of make things come full circle in that sort of way. Jacob, your thoughts?
Yes. So with Winter Wonderland, I actually really enjoyed this song as well. It's very chill and I guess low energy. but not in a bad way. I think that's really its strength. It's so like chill and low energy, and this is something you could easily put on at like a Christmas party, and nobody would. I mean, it's Christmas music, so it's fine. But I mean, like just in general,
playlist,
like
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think that's definitely a strong point, and they definitely know how to keep their voice nice and gentle, and yeah, just it's a good song. Check it out.
See, this is why I get water before I go on shows, because you're gonna be like,
yeah, we've been going so long.
I was doing things until we called. I didn't have time.
Like a 24-ounce giant water bottle. Like, we're getting there.
Through this.
I don't have anything. I've been suffering.
Right. Nate.
But for me, this is actually my favorite song. I just like how soft it is with the piano and just some strings. Like, I mean, it's a Christmassy ballad, but that's not a bad thing. Yeah, I thought it was definitely my favorite.
All right, and to round out the review, we have the ending track called "All I Want Is You." This song it's like an ukulele, just like acoustic type track. And I'm a huge sucker for anything that uses ukulele. That's probably the Filipino in me, just because it was a really big thing. Like, you know how, like, when you're growing up in, like, I don't know, just like high school or whatever, and then like every guy's just gonna be like, I'm gonna learn the guitar so that I could serenade all the women's. like with like the people I grew up with, it was ukulele. If you learned ukulele, you could like serenade all the women's, and then I don't know. I never learned it, but I do really appreciate this, just because it also it's like basically like a Hawaiian vibe Christmas song or whatever. So, or just like a Hawaiian vibe winter song. So the contrast in that, and where most Christmas songs definitely make you think of the cold and winter and that sort of thing, where this is very much more relaxing and definitely gives you that Hawaiian vibe to it. Again, just incorporating that sort of like Hawaiian vibe with the doo-wop vocals, just again, perfect pairing together. And the thing I love at the very end is just, I love like behind the scenes, like, or just like random nonsense, or just like, like towards the end. I love those. I love when people leave those things in. It's so adorable. So it was a great way to end this entire album. It was incredible.
Oh yeah. Especially since it was such a thin texture. Sorry, I pronounce it ukulele, but I'll call it ukulele. So with the ukulele, it's such a light, small sound. So this track was so much of their voices. So I felt like it was a fantastic thing because it really promoted their brand, which is exactly what you said at the beginning of this section to introduce them. And yeah, I called it tropical, but I meant Hawaiian, beach vibes, vocals creating chords, almost chords, because there's only, I guess triads, vocals creating triads, so they're most of the harmonic content. Also, I loved the groove change, the rhythm change in the ukulele halfway through, having exactly what it needed to. And All I Want Is You hook. Oh yeah. That was one more small complaint was All I Want Is You hook repeats a lot, especially towards the end. And I feel like it was right when they sing All I Want Is You, it's together and it's in harmony, but I feel like they could have varied it more if they just reharmonized it a bit or changed the voices instead of just repeating it as it is. And it wouldn't be too much of a change, but it'd be a small change for those who are listening. But yeah, like I said, fantastic end to the album.
Jacob.
All right. This is what? Raise my hand.
Your turn.
Oh.
Hi. Go ahead.
I thought she said raise your hand, Jacob. I was like, okay.
Oh no! I said your turn, Jacob.
Oh. Anyways, All I Want Is You. This one also is one of my favorites. I'd say it's between this and First Noel Holy Night. This one definitely gives off the most like old-timey like 40s 50s vibe, which I like a lot. And I think that has to do with the All I Want Is You part being completely in unison, which I guess is a thing they did a lot back then. Like when I listen to this, all I imagine is like gameplay of like freaking Cuphead with like Christmas everything or something. Like, but yeah, I enjoyed this quite a lot. Like, or I could see like there being like I'm playing Fallout and it's playing on the radio or something.
Yeah.
It's just anything 50s vibe basically is. This is what I guess that takes me back to, even though I wasn't alive in the 50s. But
yeah,
you get
again,
what I
it's
mean.
just your nostalgic. Well, again, we grew up with a lot of this music, despite us not being around at the time period. So we develop a level of nostalgia for it, even though again, it's just before our time still. So yeah, I definitely have a lot of nostalgia when it comes to this type of music. So Nate, take us out.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear this show up because it's not really a Christmas song at all, and like it wasn't what I was expecting from the rest of the album. But yeah, I thought it was cool to hear just this like ukulele focused Barberettes song. I mean, it's right in their wheelhouse. It's what we've heard from them before. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting way to close out the album, but not necessarily a bad thing.
All right, so we don't do review scores when it comes to K-pop Auto Reverse because these albums are just immaculate and there'd be no point in scoring it, at least on our end. I know you guys, I know Nate and Jacob, you probably wouldn't give it as high a score, but
well,
I still like it. I'd recommend it.
I liked
so
it.
just like final thoughts overall. I mean, I'd have to say like as a huge fan of just Christmas music, as a Christmas music connoisseur, that's what I'll call myself. Again, like just what this brings to the table in terms of Christmas music is, I guess, game changing in a sort of way. Just basically, like when it comes to Christmas music, I just listen to the Barberettes Christmas music whenever, like last year. Basically, all I did was listen to, like, they have a bunch of Christmas albums, and like I love their Christmas stuff probably the best, just because I feel like they're able to nail down like the feeling of Christmas like so well, and I really hope that more people listen to them, and I really hope that more people appreciate just how unique they are just in music in general. And I really hope they don't keep hemorrhaging members. I'm so scared that like, oh, they want all these acoustic instruments and expensive stuff. I don't want them to end up as like one person eventually. So please, just like, I usually don't like being a sellout or like telling you like what to spend your money on, but like please support the Barberettes because I want them to be around and make Christmas music. Yes, buy their music or just listen to them or just tweet at them and be like, we love your music or whatever. Just, I want them to know that they like there's people that are outside of Korea that love their music. So,
do they speak English?
Yeah, I think one of them.
No,
one of them might be
sure.
half American because her last name is just sounds pretty American. So, Uma,
I
what are
can
your final
always
thoughts?
reach out to them.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
use your
basically
influence.
like you said everything that I wanted to say because their vocals really, really do stand out. Their vocals and their style of music that they're staying so strongly to, that they like haven't deviated from. It's just such a fresh thing to hear in the Korean industry. And I mean, now that my channel is growing bigger, I find this as an opportunity to promote the groups that aren't as popular and that I really, really respect. So, I mean, yes, this is a brilliant group, and I would love to keep hearing music from them constantly. So I'll do the best I can and just buy their music and encourage everyone else to buy it too.
High five.
High five. High five.
Jacob, last thoughts?
Yeah, so I think this is a really, really solid Christmas album, and it deserves to be heard. Enough said.
Nate.
What Jacob said.
Enough said.
Man.
Enough said, indeed.
God, why am I the only one that's super enjoying or super positive when it comes to Christmas music? Because like
I just don't listen to
It's
Christmas
not-
music.
No,
I'm
'cause
not
when we were-
negative. I just don't listen to it. Yeah, exactly.
See, when
'cause when we
Christmas
were-
comes around, all I'm doing is streaming Diamond by SNSD on repeat. Like,
No,
Yeah. The best.
why is anyone
K-pop
doing any
Christmas song.
different?
no.
Exactly.
I mean, no, because like even when we reviewed Taeyeon's Christmas album, which is the best Taeyeon
I was
album,
gonna
you
say.
guys were like, eh.
No, it's because it's not my voice.
Clearly
It's
not
not my voice.
So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this topic. Again, it's not something you really hear out of like K-pop YouTubers,
Yeah.
but Yeah, I can't encourage everyone enough to just go look them up, go listen to their music, even if it's not the Christmas music, because all of their entire catalog is just incredible. And if there's ever a chance that they hear this or come across this, I love all of you, all of the members, even the ones that left already, and keep continuing to do what you're doing because it makes me so happy. It's amazing. So, on that note, that's the end of that review.
All right. Okay, now we can go into topic 3.
All right, I'll try to shorten this up because it's like
2:20 in, and we're only halfway done.
Okay.
Don't worry, we won't go this long.
These last two
we're all
topics
tired
are
anyways.
All right.
significantly shorter.
Yeah, I'm making this way shorter. Okay, so last time Umu was on, we did our inaugural Tumblr's most unpopular K-pop opinions topic, which has over 5,000 views, which is a lot for us. So I'm pretty sure that's our most viewed video ever. So we're going back to the well again.
Yep.
So I sourced these from a Tumblr blog called Unpopular K-pop Opinions. Being an avid Tumblr user since 2009, of course, I'm going to see a lot of this stuff. And even though Tumblr is kind of like dying because, I don't know, nipples or something like that.
I mean, it's doing okay right now, but just everything is being flagged.
Everyone's just like, abandoned ship. I'm just like, you guys I've been here since Tumblarity. It's going to be fine, I think. So,
yeah, probably.
Anyway, so yeah, I'll just go through each of the unpopular opinions and we can give our thoughts on each one of them. So, I'll narrow it down to like 5 or 6. So, starting off with, I wish YG would do more than just train his younger idols to rap just like G-Dragon. Let them have their own style and their own color.
I agree in one specific example, and that's with One.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
I wasn't really crazy about his debut because it kind of just, to me, sounded like he was trying to imitate G-Dragon.
Mm.
Whereas, like, he seems very talented, and I think he's just got to find his own sound. So.
Right.
Yeah,
and there's also the case that, like, do we know that YG is actually saying you need to sound like this idol, or is
it could always be he just looks up to him?
Yeah, it could be that too. And also, I think that all the different companies try to foster a specific sound for their idols. And I mean, Bobby definitely has his own unique sound.
Definitely,
has
Bobby and BI.
Sound. Oh my goodness, yeah, they all do. But it is within the same umbrella as G-Dragon, I feel. Even though they have their own sounds. And I feel like the newcoming younger rappers, maybe because they're so young, they haven't found their own style yet. Like I just don't know whether YG is saying like you need to sound like G-Dragon, or it's them being like, oh, I need to fit under this umbrella sound, therefore I'm going to go for G-Dragon until I find my flow.
Yeah,
like,
it might be pressure to like live up to that expectation, just because obviously with Big Bang and all the members going into the military, they're just like, oh god, we need the next Big Bang, so they're like, just copy them, like maybe it's that sort of thing. And I don't really, if anything, if there's any one person that sounds the most like a G-Dragon clone, it's they're not even under YG. It's formerly of Pentagon, Edon. Like I felt like the reason why I really couldn't take his voice to some degree, just because
I can't
it's
either.
It's just like
you can go back into our old podcast and it's just us being like, oh, this is a good song by Edon.
But Edon was like the caveat for everything. So, Nate, did you have anything?
I feel bad because he's really talented, but like,
no, exactly. I don't really know where this is coming from because I feel like I don't know too much about like YG's newer male artists, but like it doesn't seem like Bobby, it definitely doesn't sound like GD, and I feel like Minos gets a lot of flack because he looks like GD, but I feel like he has his own style. So like I don't know, I don't really agree with this one.
Yeah, again, for me it's just the one example. Literally one example.
All right, next up we have Nate, this one's for you. Gugudan makes me wonder if Jellyfish took the wrong lessons from Vix's success. Constantly changing concepts is a tricky thing because you risk changing your image as well. You need to have some sort of signature style to establish the brand. So, Nate, I'll let you start off since you're the Gugudan stan.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with this. I think that they wanted, like, for me personally, I think it's great that they are doing the different styles because I love all the music they put out and I like that we're getting all these different sounds, but it is their downfall. I feel like it's the reason they're not gaining popularity, because they don't have like a signature sound that fans can stick to, and they're trying to do a bunch of different things that like the general Korean public isn't into. So it's just not going well. I 100% think that they wanted to recreate Vix's success and it's just not working.
I think that's kind of the catch-22 there, is like that is what like us, I guess, here on this channel, is like we like variety, we like them trying new concepts, being experimental and stuff like that. But like when you're because Jellyfish is a relatively smaller company, so I feel like you need to have like the money, kind of like JYP or SM or YG, to do all these experimental things reliably without it blowing up as in your face fan wise. Like with Gugudan, I love almost all of their music. I think it turned out really well musically, but because I think that's also their like Achilles heel as far as garnering like fans in Korea, because what they like to do is in Korea is like stand one group only. So 100. Like when you jumble around your concept a little too much, it kind of shoos people away, I guess. You're like, oh, I really love this song, and the next one's completely different, and then they're like, well, what the hell? So
the one thing I do want to add, sorry, before you go, Uma, is like they talk about taking the wrong lessons from Vix's success, but like Vix is pretty niche. Like still, like they're not the biggest guy. Like they're not the biggest group in terms of K-pop. I think they have a pretty big international fandom, but I don't think they're nearly as big as people think in Korea. I mean, most of their music videos only have about 10 million views. So I wouldn't say like they're super successful. I mean, Gugudan's not doing nearly as well as them, but I wouldn't say that they were successful in the first place, as bad as that sounds. They definitely deserve more success. I think both groups do.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I have several opinions. I like Jacob was saying, I like variation. I love seeing that this group can be so flexible and pull off so many different songs. Sure, I may like more or one more than the other, but it makes Gugudan like a girl group that I always want to keep track of, because I can't predict what they're going to do next. But yes, I can definitely see that. That's why they might not be doing good, because you need a consistent sound. The reason why Day6 and AKMU and Ijina are my top 3 artists of all time is because they write their own music and are therefore consistent within their own style. And I know that I'll be able to expect like a certain thing next, because it's them writing their own music and them coming up with the concepts and stuff. So it's this certainty that I'll be able to love everything that they put out, and therefore they are my favorite group, and I'm willing to, buy a lot of stuff. So I can see why that they aren't so successful doing that. Also, I feel like Vix didn't necessarily drastically change concepts, because for a while I feel like their choreo, at least like their first 5-6 songs, were very similar in style and how they had them do different moves. Like they really, really sold Vix as, almost separate dancers as one unit. And that was actually what made me stan Vix in the first place, was their dance practices and how amazing, like there's so many different things were going on because they're all doing different things. And if I felt like that was their one thing that held them together throughout all of their comebacks, is that their dancing styles were highlighted enough with every single comeback. And so that was the one solid point that I'll be like, I know I'm going to love their choreo with the next comeback. I know I'm going to love their choreo, even if the style of the song changes. So I feel as long as Jellyfish tries to get something that stays the same. And even if the concepts do change or the music style changes, as long as they have one constant, that might help.
Yeah, like one concept that they stick with constantly. Like Red Velvet kind of has the red and velvet sides to them.
Yeah.
Just something like that. Yeah, I agree. I think that would help a lot.
I mean, I know I'm the
They
odd
do
one
kind of
out.
have the fairy tale concept thing going on, but I
Yeah.
think they kind of ditched that with this last comeback.
Yeah, not
Well, it wasn't
not-
fairy tales. It was
Like-
supposed to be plays or
yeah,
like
plays, yeah.
Or story.
Movies.
every story.
movies?
Well, it was just like stories and plays and stuff.
Yeah.
Because like the second one was
Narcissus.
the story of narcissism, like narcissist.
With Cognito.
So it's not really a
like-
fairy tale.
So, yeah.
Pretty bleak fairy tale.
Yeah, Greek myth.
Yeah. So,
Greek
like I was saying, I'm pretty sure. I know I'm the odd one out on this. In that, like, I do like the reason why I enjoy Gugudan is because they always change concepts, and I'm probably the most like approving of like pushing concepts or pushing groups in new different directions like constantly, just because again most of the groups that we listen to end up just like sticking to one sort of thing, and variety is just like a really big thing for me. So I mean, yeah, I do understand that it's definitely to their detriment, changing styles, and that again when you're coming from the landscape of K-pop groups must do this one thing for the rest of their life. Like Twice is going to do the same style of song for the rest of their lives, even when they're in their 30s.
Yes is different.
Yeah, Yes or Yes is pretty different. Yeah, in that case, but but the thing, or like when G-Friend did Fingertip, and all the buddies were like, "Oh, what is this? Why isn't it like the same? Why isn't it like Navalera or like that?" When people don't like change, it's like they're very afraid of change. Whereas I'm definitely one that embraces it more to some degree, just because I do want to hear. I want to hear everyone or each group's like their style or their vocals or their choreography or their visual concept in just a different context. And I think that's what's awesome about Goo Goo Dolls. It's like I never know when I'm. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Goo Goo Dolls is the Forrest Gump. They're the Forrest Gump of K-pop groups. And I think that's probably they're probably one of my favorites. Just like it's probably 1-2 with them and Wuju Sonyo, just because like Wuju Sonyo is like because I like their style specifically, and Goo Goo Dolls just because I love them changing constantly and they're always growing and evolving. And obviously, like if you look at them from like debut to now, there's just you see such a visible growth pattern, and it's something you never see in K-pop really, just because they're always pressured to like stay within the boundaries of their sound. So again, I know I'm the odd one out here, but I still want them to continue it, and maybe they will like one day like randomly like one concept blows up and that's what they do for the rest of their lives. But until then, I don't mind them changing around. So, number 3 is this one's for Nate and Umu. It says, I find it funny that a majority of people who say Chord's music all sounds the same are Dreamcatcher stans.
That actually is pretty ironic.
This is some Boston like Boston Tea Party like tea spilling right here. So Nate, Umu, who wants to go first? Who wants?
I mean, I think I'm curious to see if because like I've seen a lot of people have the same opinion, and it's just honestly in the end, it's the sound of the instrumentals, the diatonicness of the sound. Like I can actually point out musical reasons why they sound the same, and the fact that they almost have a YG sound, if that makes any sense. It's very dance centered, so the rhythms are almost in this box. They have to be a certain way to allow, because Chord's choreography is quite unique. And so in order for them to be able to move in a certain way, the rhythms have to sound a certain way. In order for their vocals like be like a vocal line to sing together, it has to be a certain way. And so therefore like their releases have the same vibe to it, have the same beat. I wouldn't necessarily, like, I can definitely tell them apart. I wouldn't I don't mind the fact that they're sticking around the same sound. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it is. They are, they've got their brand and they're sticking with it. And I enjoy. Actually, I've grown to enjoy a lot of that. So that's funny.
And then
That's
there's
funny.
he's got physical copies of all three of the first singles.
Well, I mean,
he's gonna break out the rare limited items.
as like
The
a
number
hardcore
one-
card fan, but
the
then
number one
also
card fanboy.
Hardcore.
Well, but then yeah, like Dreamcatcher is my number one group. Like, I don't know, this is a weird, dumb opinion because like if anyone, well, no, let me explain why this is a dumb opinion. Like, if anyone doesn't think Card's music all sounds the same, then they don't understand music. Because yeah, it does all sound the same. That's why I like it. I love Tropical House. I don't care if it's all similar sounding Tropical House. I just like Tropical House. But yeah, it's obviously all sounds the same, and I just thought this was a weird opinion because that's obvious to me. Like,
Jacob.
All right, so yeah, I feel like I don't know, like it's a little hypocritical too, because like all of Dreamcatcher's like
the
title tracks, they all are like
J-rock.
it's all rock every time, like, and I will never complain about that because I love that. So I don't know, I feel like it's just stupid complaining, like Nate said.
basically.
Also with Card, I feel like with Ride on the Wind, for example, I feel like they've started to change their sound a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not people like that song or not, because I know that one was a little polarizing, but yeah. They also they have like this appeal in the Latin market where like they love the Latin inspired Tropical House and everything like that, and they know that sells there like freaking.
Yeah, there's no incentive for them to change.
And yeah, exactly. Like for example, they opened up like a Card Facebook group. Every single comment was in Spanish.
Spanish or like Brazilian Portuguese, like pretty much.
So
they know where their bread is buttered.
Not navigated at all. Yeah, so basically, I think they know where their market is, and DSP is going for it. So yeah. Also, we need a comeback.
Maybe next year. They're too busy. They're
No, we need
they're
fall.
touring.
We need fall
touring
Card
still.
though. Fall Card's so good.
Fall's over.
And I mean, you know my thoughts on varieties, which is why, like, yeah, I can only take so much Dreamcatcher and Card at a time. So yeah, I mean, I'd say I'm pretty consistent in my opinion that both groups definitely I can only take so much of because they do get stale after a certain point. So, which is why I kind of like Fly High better. Or Fly High is probably my favorite Dreamcatcher song because I felt it was a bit different in comparison to the rest of what they did necessarily. And I mean, maybe I'm just still looking for that for Card necessarily because I do feel Card kind of. I'm sorry, we run the Card cast. We were like the biggest Card fanboys, but I'm like, they kind of took a step back in my eyes just this year, just musically. I didn't enjoy it as much, but I can understand that they're definitely, they have that market cornered basically. So it's not going to be for me all the time. Next we have this is a Produce 48 question, so I don't know how much you'll be able to contribute to this, Umu, but it says, it's nice that Produce 48 brought new fans to the 48 group fandom, and I hope they keep standing the girls in the future. But I just wish they'd take the time out to learn how the groups work because it's very different from how K-pop works. It's kind of obnoxious when loud K-pop stans screech about things not being like in Korea or being upset that the 48 group system is different or, quote, unfair. K-pop doesn't work like, say, American pop, so why should J-pop? You obviously know my thoughts on this, so I'll leave myself last. So,
I agree.
Yeah, Jacob, you go for
Basically, like, I agree in that, like, it's a completely different country, completely different culture, and I feel like you shouldn't be expecting exactly the same thing from the get-go, like, as from a cultural standpoint. Like pop music is, I guess, originating from like business, I guess, at a lot of its root. Not entirely, obviously there's artistry there, but like companies form these idol pop music, more like companies form these groups. They have a certain structure, they have a way that everything is run and done, and like just the way that Koreans and Japanese run business is, I feel like it might be fundamentally different considering the countries in a lot of aspects are polar opposites of each other in a lot of ways. And, I guess that's, a result of their history together. But yeah, I feel like you shouldn't be expecting the same from one country as you do another, I guess, because it's going to be different no matter what.
Nate.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty much exactly what Jacob said. Like you can't expect it to work the same way, because it's completely different culture, and that's completely different like fan bases. Like J-pop is directed to a completely different set of people than K-pop is. So like obviously it's not going to work the same. So yeah, I think you just got to respect how it works over there, and if you don't like how it works and you're upset that it's not like K-pop, then don't listen to it.
Don't listen to it. Yeah.
Like don't complain about it. It's not going to change. They have their own way of doing things.
Yeah. Let cultures do their own thing. Yeah, I don't know anything about 48, but I agree with what you guys are saying.
I mean, you did end up reviewing, or you did a reaction to La Vie en Rose. You do know a bit, but like,
I know they exist, but I don't know how Produce 48 runs.
So yeah, Produce 48, how it came about was basically just Produce 101 was its normal sort of thing, but the twist for this season.
Japanese group.
Yeah, so the twist for this season is that like a little over, like about 1/3 of the trainees that came on to Produce 48 were from a group called AKB48, or just the AKB48 group, and there's the sister groups or whatever, which is the biggest female idol group in Japan. So basically, they started to gain. It's just like really testy between like the 48 group fandom and like K-pop fans, and like there's like a bit of like nationalism between the two countries coming in between. Like the main sort of thing that I complain, or I have a complaint with, is so there were 3 Japanese members that made it into IZ*ONE. So, and there are apparently a lot of like Korean fans were complaining about them doing so much in Japan and like doing songs in Japan, and like they're gonna do Japanese music, and they left IZ*ONE for a few days to go to one of the members of one of the groups was graduating, and like that's a really important person for them, so they took some time off away from the group and everything, and everyone's like, why aren't you dedicated to IZ*ONE? Why are you doing all this stuff in Japan? And it just comes off as it's super entitled, if anything. Like, and like it feels, that's probably what frustrates me the most about like a lot of these people that feel so entitled, that they want to keep. They took these members from like the J-pop world, and they want to like hold them hostage and keep them in K-pop, and it just makes no sense whatsoever. Like, so basically, just to break down like the importance of it, like one of them is like Miyawaki Sakura is basically like, think about it if like, I don't know, Twice took or like freaking like, I don't know, like Nayeon or Jihyo left Twice for like 2 years. That's basically the situation that a lot of that some of the 48 groups are in right now. So there's obviously a lot of like animosity because it's an exclusive contract, so they can't go back to Japan and do music with their own groups again. So yeah, it's just like until the contract's over basically, and they're going for like 3 years.
Okay, right.
So, there's just like a lot of animosity on both sides, which kind of sucks, because like the whole point of Produce 48 was just like, okay, we want to allow these two sort of like separate like fan bases interact, or just like find common ground in like the different music. And I don't know, I've embraced like 48 group like tenfold. Like, I mean, I'm a crazy guy that's just buying all these CDs over and over again. So yeah, it's just really sad that it feels like a lot of the situations just like nationalism and like pride for Koreans and pride for Japanese as to why they won't, like, they're just so like stubborn about dealing with just like the other groups, or like the groups that actually, or the fans that basically invested all of their time into these members. And like basically like this whole situation boils down to, it's like going to a vegan restaurant and just like starting a temper tantrum because they won't serve you meat or something like that. Basically, it's just super. It's just super childish, and it's definitely kind of disappointing in that way. we'll skip the BTS question actually, just because I want to like leave us one last good one. So this last one is: does K-pop make anyone else hyper aware and super self-conscious about their appearance, or make you feel like a failure for not being as talented and for not achieving as much in life as these idols have? It affects my mental health so much at times, and I wish I could stop following K-pop, but damn, it's so addicting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have literally, okay, so I've been a tomboy all throughout middle school and high school, and it wasn't until I started getting into K-pop until I was like, oh wait, I should actually dress more to fit, my femininity. I should wear dresses more often. I should have, I should match the style of this community that I've become a part of. And so now when I go to KCON, I have like 4 different clothes that I got from Yes Style, and those are the 4 clothes that I wear to like the K conventions and concerts. Now I am just also being on a platform with so many people viewing me. I feel this extra need
Pressure.
to, like, right now, I didn't wash my hair, so I'm wearing a beanie, and that happens a lot. Facts, by the way, whenever I wear a beanie, it means I didn't wash my hair.
Yeah, same, not gonna lie.
In the first place, like, I hate makeup. I hate makeup with a passion. It's a waste of time, and if I want to attract anyone, I want to attract my personality, not with my looks. I don't want someone to be like, oh my God, you're so attractive, let's, come closer. I want them to be like, wow, you're hilarious, and I like your interests, So, like, because K-pop is so obsessed with perfect looks and, perfect fashion sense, and that boosts you in people's eyes, I've had to become aware of that too. And now I put on foundation. Oh my God, what? And people in the comments are like, oh my God, your skin has gotten so much better. And I'm like, no.
No joke. I probably need to wear foundation because, like, not even joking. Just like maybe something matte because I get oily as hell. Like because I have these friggin' lights on me or whatever. So I'm super like skincare is incredible, but like the makeup, like too much work, way too much work.
But yeah, it's definitely put a lot of pressure on me that would have never existed if I didn't get into them. Like I wouldn't care about my at all. I wouldn't care about my fashions at all. I'd wear t-shirts every single day, except my parents are getting mad about the amount of t-shirts I own. But I feel t-shirts are to express an interest on the t-shirt. For heaven's sakes, Kevin's my friend because I wore a specific on the t-shirt. Like, we wouldn't be friends if I didn't wear that t-shirt.
Wait, what t-shirt?
So, like, t-shirts are everything to me. It was it was a Spirited Away t-shirt.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
It had
was this before?
Hero.
Was this before or after the flirting?
This was right when the flirting happened.
I had to ask.
This is when he invited me to dine with his friends.
Okay. So, Jacob, what are your thoughts?
I think for me, it's just something that happens in general. Like K-pop or not, I think it's just like when you live in a consumerist culture, like Korea is very hyper consumerism.
Oh, definitely.
America is as well. So I feel like when you live in that kind of thing, you can't help but like, oh, they have this, I don't have that, or they look this way, I don't look this way. I think it's just something like one of the negative sides to, I guess, that aspect of the cultures. But honestly, as somebody who like typically when they do things like failure is not an option, is like my mentality through things. I try not to compare myself to others because I don't know, it makes it easier to equate yourself as a failure when you might not be. I try to I don't know, make goals based on myself and stuff like that. So yeah. Basically when I'm in college, my only goal is like I need A's and B's. I won't sleep until I get this done. Yeah, basically that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Nate.
Yeah, for me, so like obviously I'm like pretty overweight and stuff, but it doesn't actually affect me. I think actually, well, like it doesn't affect me in a negative way. If anything, it affects me more in a more positive way. Like it gives me motivation.
Makes me want to work out. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I don't.
Exactly. But yeah, just like seeing, I'm like, these kids are like 16 years old and just completely ripped. And it's just like, I would say, yeah, if anything, it affects me in a more positive way, just in giving me motivation to work out and eat better and just try to be healthier.
I totally forgot about weight. That was something that's extremely happened to me ever since, especially since I joined a dance crew, and you have to wear certain things, and so many people in my dance crew wear crop tops and are thin, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so like actually last summer I started talking to my best friend and talking about, hey, I need to work out. And I'm healthy. I'm the weight I should be, tiny bit over with my height. And my friend got really pissed at me because like I'm healthy, and I was like, I really need to like slim down. I cannot fit into this society with, you know, the fat on my belly. And she just lectured me. And so on top of worrying about my face and fashion, I'm also worried about my weight. So I don't necessarily need to, but that can also be viewed in a positive way of like, yeah, it will get me to go work out even when I hate working out. But like, it can be viewed as both positive and negative.
Like, okay, hold on, I have to read this. Joy said, oh yeah, working out. After seeing Wonho in real life, can't lie, I grabbed weights after that. Wonho from Monster X is just super goddamn ripped, and he ripped his shirt off at
muscles
Mama
are
Japan.
like this big around.
Yeah, his muscle. I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen him rip his shirt off in real life, and just like his biceps are like the size of my head. But just I guess on my like a personal level for me, I just get like, as an overview, like using K-pop idols or using just like super beautiful people, like super like perfect people, like models or like, I don't know, just like athletes or whatever, using them as like the bar, as like, or like the bare minimum of what like human beings should like look like. No, that's unrealistic. Like there's a reason why the term average exists, because like the average human being isn't like that. Like trying to sort of put yourself into that position where you think you're not good enough if you're not that like ripped is it's super it's dangerous. It's a dangerous mentality, and I mean I definitely understand that very well. I mean, I try to talk at length, or I try to keep my my ex, mentioning my ex at length very much, but I feel like it's kind of an important sort of thing to me. I guess where it really went downhill is I'm very bad at just being hard on myself a lot. Definitely, I'm my biggest critic. I exhibit what it's called like imposter syndrome, where even though you actually have the talent for something, you think you're never good enough for it. And I think what really sort of made my relationship go just like in the shitter was like, I don't know, my ex was just really bad at handling that, and to some degree she sort of exacerbated it to some degree, like where there'd be some times where I'd just be like really down on myself, and she wouldn't like help me get out of it at all, or just make me feel worse about it, and to some degree. And after the breakup, like it was a really bad time. It was a really bad. Most breakups are, and I just be like thinking like, oh, she hangs out like. She's in the dance community, and she's like, oh, is it because I'm not in like good shape enough? Is it because I'm not a dancer, or is it not because like I can't do all this sort of stuff or whatever? It's like, is it because I'm not as ambitious or whatever is what the line she gave me at one point. And like, it was, I think you're just comparing yourself in that way to other people. There's no good outcome out of it. There's no good outcome out of it. And people are different. We're different. Like everyone just has different things that they're able to handle and can't handle. And don't think any less of yourself if you're not able to sort of like operate the way that all these famous and successful and beautiful people are. That doesn't make you any less of a person. And I had to. It took me years to learn that. It took me a long time to learn that. And you know, I'm glad that I'm not so hard on myself, or just not so like down about it as much, because I. Like trying to fit I'm me like I do like, I don't know, I should be working out more, honestly, but like
same like been telling myself for like the past like month, because I'm going to Korea in 3 months, and I'd rather
and this goes beyond just like comparing like yourself to like just like weight or just like looks or whatever. It's like my thing is like I don't know, I like playing video games, I like being lazy or whatever. I like doing like don't try to model yourself after someone else's expectations, because you're never gonna meet it. You're never gonna meet it. There's always like, and you're just going to, if you keep yourself, or if you allow yourself to be that vulnerable or that just like moldable by someone else's expectations, like you're not gonna be a very happy person. And I hope that's the one thing I hope you take away from this whole thing, is that you are the cause of your own happiness, and don't let anyone else dictate whether or not what you're doing is good enough or how you look is good enough. So
that's what my best friend told me. That's exactly what she said.
It's something that, again, it's something that I knew it for a long time. It just, when you're in that sort of mind state, it's very hard to break out. And I hope this person, definitely gets out of it, because don't turn K-pop like the one thing that you're really like.
Yeah, and they're idols. They're supposed to be like gods. You're not a god.
But don't turn that into something that makes you feel worse about yourself necessarily. So
yeah, exactly.
Just take that advice from someone that
Thanks,
learned.
Andrew.
All right, those are the unpopular K-pop opinions. If you have any of your own, definitely leave them in the comments. If you want to go see more of them, go to, I believe it's unpopular/kpopopinions.tumblr.com. I submitted one. I don't know if it's gonna pop up, but I'll definitely tweet it out if it ever pops up. And yeah.
Topic 4.
Okay, so for our very last topic, though we'll probably keep it pretty quick because we've been at this for a while, is lately a lot of my friends have been asking me, like, what are your K-pop predictions for 2019? And a lot of people have been asking, so who do you think are going to make it big right after BTS in America and the world? And so this has been something that I never actually have thought about before, because I don't like looking far in the future. But I was like, you know what, this would be a cool thing to talk about. And I feel like I guess I'll go first, but the group that most obviously would first make it big, I think, is Blackpink, because their like YouTube number views are as big as BTS, and also 3 of them speak fluent English.
Problem is they don't release music.
Very, very
I was gonna say, you need to release music to make it big, though.
Yeah, I mean, I saw in Jenny's last interview that Blackpink is working on something, but it might be another variety show. We don't know whether it's music or a variety show. But also, I was trying to think about other groups, and I'm wondering, is it the more members in a group there are, the kind of more scary to go into it? So I was thinking, like, okay, I know there's been articles written about NCT 17 and Stray Kids, and I could see them making it big because they have English speakers, they have accessible music, and they have, popular concepts, but also it's just really overwhelming. Anything more than 8 people, it's probably like, there's so many people, I don't know what I'm getting into.
I've seen people say that
with girl groups. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I've seen people say that even if there's only like 7 members. Like, wow, there's so many.
But BTS has 7. Oh, true. Like,
yeah, I know. Like, they say that all the time.
But I mean, they made it.
Well, it's because like the.
I was trying to think about what girl groups would be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, American boy groups are always 5 or less.
Yeah, it was standard for Western pop music was always 5.
Yeah, because you didn't have anything like that. Even stretching back to like New Kids on the Block, Backstreet Boys, like NSYNC, like nobody had nobody had double-digit number of members. So it's completely foreign concept to them.
For rookie girl groups, I think Idol might make it big.
Yeah,
I don't know whether any of them, if they have English speakers. I think they have English speakers, right? One or two of them others.
I think Yuki knows a lot of English.
I think one of them.
Well, I don't know if Mian actually speaks, but she has very good pronunciation.
Yeah.
On the KDA song,
on
she
KDA
was
Pop Stars. Oh my
perfectly understandable.
Okay. And then also Momoland, if they continue to put out
they got like
songs
3, don't they?
Yeah, they have quite a few English speakers.
Daisy,
so Momoland and Idol, I think, might blow up across the seas. Your turn. Whoever next.
Nate, go.
Yeah, I guess I can go.
Nate?
Yeah. So if we're talking about like here in like the U.S. and in the Western world, I think NCT is the obvious one to be next. Like they're already really big around.
There's so many
here. I actually don't know if entirely a bad thing because it gives
Okay.
people like obviously like a big part of K-pop is having your bias or whatever, and having more members means even if you're not
Less
a
of your
huge
bias.
fan of everyone, like there's probably someone for you to latch onto to become a fan of the group. In terms of like mainstream, like news outlets and stuff, it would be like it's definitely overwhelming to have NCT on a talk show or whatever. But I mean, they would have just like NCT 127. I think if we're talking about like over here in the West, it would be NCT 127. Like I don't think Dream would get as much.
No, they're too young.
Like nearly as much like exposure and stuff. So I think them in terms of girl groups, I think if Blackpink, if they keep putting out music, otherwise, G Idol definitely is someone I could see getting way more popular over here. And then just in terms of getting more popular in general, like including Korea, I think Stray Kids is up there.
Yep.
I think they easily have the best chance of getting bigger and bigger over the next couple of years, just due to the fact that they're under JYP. They have so much talent. Yeah, exactly. The fact that they're self-composed, it definitely gives them
do talk about
bonus
relatable
points.
Yeah.
So I think they have a unique style it's still like something that people are interested in. It's not like completely ridiculous out there. But it's not really, we don't get a ton of like this more rock based hip hop. There aren't really any other groups doing that. So I think they easily have the biggest chance of making it big the next couple of years. And it helps that, I mean, they're twice as baby, like baby brother group.
Yeah.
So like they have that to latch onto, and stuff too.
So honestly, I think Stray Kids has yet to pop off, like just in general. Like, so for example, like with EXO back in like 2012, from when EXO debuted, it took a pretty long time for them to actually like catch on and be like, bam, we're huge. Like it took all the way to like Growl, which was, I don't know, like their fourth single, I think. So like Stray Kids is getting there, but still, like it took a little while. Growl, Overdose, those songs back then, like EXO wasn't a norm. Like they were still like before then they're still small, like compared to like Super Junior or something like that, for example, like back then. So I think Stray Kids still has room to grow, and I think they definitely do have crossover potential. Like I was driving somewhere with my mom and I was playing Stray Kids in the car, and she actually said that she liked it. So I was like, hey. It's like,
rental approval.
My mom too, she's very picky. My mom is so picky, and when I played District 9, she was like, turn that up, and I was like, okay.
Like it's awesome.
I don't let my parents listen to K-pop.
And even like I've been driving to lunch, like coworkers and stuff have enjoyed it just because it's got that like hip hop feel, that like older school hip hop feel that people listen to here in the US. So
yeah, but and then another thing I've been like silently waiting for is so SM has not come out with a girl group in 5 years. That's how long it's been. That's how long it was between FX and Red Velvet. And now Red Velvet, it's been 5 years. And honestly, I feel like with the success of Twice, they might feel slightly burned from that, because Twice is pretty much like JYP being like, SNSD, I want one.
Yeah.
like
really
that.
is.
I think that's what he had in mind when he built Twice. Not to say that their music sounds the same or that they're just, new SNSD, but like I think that's legitimately what JYP had in mind. And I think SM seeing the success of Twice, the success of Blackpink, the success of BTS, I think they'll try to take those things into consideration with whatever the next group is, whether it's a girl group or boy group. I think it'll be a girl group. And I think they're going to come out with something looking to be like huge. And I think like like even with NCT and Red Velvet making like small little tiny pushes into America, I think SM now like kind of has their eyes on us.
Mm-hmm.
On us.
Yeah, they're like,
They're
want
watching
that.
us. I'm sorry for all of the bad things. Actually, no, have I said anything like obnoxiously bad about anyone, SM? Honestly, I don't think I have, despite how like critical I am. So okay, I'm good with SM. So I actually ended up taking this question way too literally, as in what I thought groups would be like big in Korea, as opposed to like what K-pop groups. I'll do it anyway.
I mean, you can go ahead. Yeah, and say what you.
Yeah, because I mean, and you guys pretty much covered basically like everyone I thought would definitely make it big in America. Because I think at this point there's only room for so many, just because they're like maybe like 1, 2, 3, like, and most of them are like boy groups probably, just because again like most Americans have a hard enough time like just getting around the concept of BTS existing, let alone like all these other groups. So it's definitely going to take time, but I do believe that a lot of the groups that you guys mentioned are definitely going to break into the American market sooner or later, or just like the international market. As for who I think will actually make it big in Korea, or just like, because I think that's kind of a more interesting question, or like a harder question to answer, just because again we don't really it's harder to measure Korean tastes as being an outsider necessarily, or it's just really it's not up to us because we don't have control over like freaking like Naver, or like I don't know, Melon charts or something like that. But some of the artists I think that actually make it big in Korea is the boys, because they are from some random like, oh god, what is it, like what's their entertainment company again? I forget.
I have no idea. If
They're from like a really small entertainment company.
Cooper would know.
And
but they've already made it really big.
They're huge. And no, the funny thing is we mentioned this before, but there's a good chance they are more popular than any like group that would come out of the members of 101 once they disband. Like they have the momentum and everything. They're putting a lot of money into it. So like it would not surprise me if the boys just really just make it big. And I mean, they're positioned in that sort of way because right now that the sound that they have is very similar to where 17 was just like a couple of years ago, and that got them huge. So it's entirely possible. They were under Krecker Entertainment. Like they're pretty much, I've never heard of them before Produce 101, like, because one of the members was on Produce 101, and basically they're pouring like millions of dollars into this one group, and it's working for whatever goddamn reason. I don't know why, but there's also PLT, or Planetarium Records, which is, it's not really a K-pop group. They're like a collective of hip hop artists, but they're definitely starting to gain steam. Like, and they're all so different too, which I think will definitely appeal to like obviously a variety of different people. I think they're definitely building on what like Dean and like Zico, like those type of like solo like hip hop R&B artists established, and taking that to the nth degree in terms of experimentality. So
I could see them becoming big, like in Korea specifically, among like, you know, teens and like young adults and stuff like that.
Yeah,
because they're into more like the underground, trendy, like that kind of thing. And
yeah, because after a certain age, you're just it's not cool to listen to K-pop. or most people, their sounds are definite, or their preference is definitely skewed more towards these just like R&B hip hop style. Like you see, like if you see like Show Me the Money, like most of the people in there are just like people like maybe like older teenagers, or people my age, that sort of thing. So I feel like PLT definitely has a chance. On that same notice, Penomeko, who is a member, or he's not really under SM, kind of under SM, but
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, because it's weird because he produces songs for SM artists.
Subsidiary.
Well, no, yeah, the company he was in was bought by us, or as a subsidiary now. A couple months ago, they bought it.
Yeah, so I think he has a chance to make it big, mostly because of his associations with like Dean and Zico, just like being a part of Fancy Child. I think he's gonna skyrocket just on that alone, basically. So just like he follows the same trajectory essentially. I know one you'll appreciate is Minso, because again, like, one, she made a song with Yoon Jong Shin that just like skyrocketed to like the top of the charts, and then obviously yes, her style. She could be the next IU. Like, I know that's just like really putting it out there.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I was gonna say. Is they love IU, they love Hayes, they love female singers like that. So yeah, I
so
could definitely see it.
Mhm.
she definitely has a chance in that way. And just the last one is Soul, SOLE, who is Divine Channel, a production team. That's their first in-house artist that they produce. I love her voice so much, and I think she can make it big just because, again, like, Korea loves their female R&B singers. They're just beautiful voices. So yeah, I mean, those are going to be harder to predict, obviously. I mean, I could be completely wrong about it, but I would not be surprised if all of those groups blow up over the next year.
Right. And I'm just, well, I guess this is out of the K-pop scene, but Samuel Sol, I know, no, he just doesn't have the right promotion, and he isn't necessarily a K-pop artist. He refuses to assign himself to any genre, but his music is so good that, I don't know. No, he probably won't make it big, but he's just, I hope.
There is like,
Yeah.
Korea loves their ballad singers or like solo like artists or whatever more than we do here in the West, because it just, I don't know, it doesn't really appeal, at least to me, as much. But I mean, there are a lot of people that are like that sort of are not necessarily within the bounds of K-pop, and still, because it's what most adults listen to. Like the age demographics is just completely different, where it's way older, which is why like people like, I don't know, like Sam Kim, even though like he definitely appeals to an older demographic for doing like, I don't know, just like jazzy like rock type of things as well. So yeah, there definitely is a market for it.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
We
It's
done?
time to call it.
Yeah, it's time to
Sorry,
call it.
Rob.
3 hours.
250.
Rob just got here.
Yeah, I know. I saw that right as Rob showed up.
You'll have to
Time
go
to end
back
the
and watch it.
podcast.
You got 3 hours worth, so.
Take us out, Jacob.
All right. Well, I guess with that, thanks for tuning into the live stream. It was certainly really fun. We had a ton of viewers, which I was so surprised by, because the last couple we only had about 15, and tonight we peaked at around 81. So I was definitely impressed by that. Thanks for coming. To everybody that was new, thanks to everybody who's a new subscriber. I hope you stick with us. Thanks for Umu for coming on. Always appreciate it. It was definitely fun just hanging out with everyone, and yeah. So with that,
Do we
Thank
have
you.
anything on our?
goodbye. Oh yeah, join Discord. It's Mucho Lit.
No, I mean, do we have anything upcoming on our our schedule or whatever that we want to?
Truly
break off.
Daebak Awards.
Yeah, truly
We're taking
Daebak
a week off.
Awards. Yeah,
Yep,
we have our own
awards.
award show because Mama kind of sucks when it comes to like giving awards to people that actually deserve it. So
We are the K-pop Academy.
yeah, we're the K-pop connoisseurs. So yeah, we're gonna try to narrow down our nominees by the end of the year, announce it sometime in early January, and then the Truly Daebak Awards will happen like over a couple of weeks. So there'll be a fan one as well. So yeah, if you definitely want to like vote on who you think or who you think you would win or who deserves to win, definitely keep out for that.
Yep.
Don't forget, we mentioned giveaways, but I actually forgot my thing upstairs. But I will just mention. Okay, so because I know for the people that stuck around, thank you very much. So here's the rules of the giveaway. I'll be giving away this Korean. It's manhwa. It's not really, because the equivalent to like manga in Korea is called manhwa. There's this Korean manhwa that I bought at Anime NYC that basically the story is about, like, it's so like pertains to K-pop, where like the story is or it's basically Hyuna and Idon, the manga. Not even joking. They're like a couple, like they're two like popular idols that have to hide their relationship because obviously you can't really do that in Korea. So I will be giving away the first volume. So the criteria for how to win is you have to go all the way back to Day6 review and you have to add up all of the scores that we gave. So like, what are we ranked it out of 10? And then you have to rate that in the comments below. So yep, if you get that number correct, and I'll give like a week or so for the people that are watching this on like replay to get their comments in, and you'll win it. I'll ship it anywhere in the world, and it looks like a really cool manga too. So definitely check it out, even if you don't if you don't end up winning the contest. But Nate, did you want to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, we were also, since we talked about giveaways, so yeah, I'll just same thing. We'll pick another person out of that, the people that submit, and I'll just buy you an album of your choice, because I don't have anything to give away, but
Just buy them. Buy
Wait,
them,
what do you mean
Day
you don't have
6.
anything to give away?
Buy them Day 6.
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, Day6 or yeah, we'll just go
Sure.
with Day6. I don't want to ship out hundreds of posters. Okay.
I just wanted to see it. Like Nate just has a stack. Like,
I have.
here's all
I
my
do,
posters.
I have a giant stack of folded posters because I buy way too many albums. But no, yeah, I'll buy the Day6 album. So yeah, we'll just pick another person, same criteria as Andrews.
Randomized.
We'll just pick two different people and randomize who gets it. So
yeah, definitely as a thank you, and it's Christmas time, so it's definitely a thank you for
exactly
hitting 500 subs. Jesus Christ!
Yes.
You guys didn't believe me.
I never thought I
At
didn't
the
think
beginning of
get
the
there.
year, you guys said 250. I was like, we could hit 500.
We did it.
Yep,
We
last
did.
Go for
last show
1,000
of the
next year.
Yeah, 1,000 next year, hopefully. So, I guess on that note, thank you to everyone who stuck around. Definitely, it's really late, and I'm depriving you of sleep, but I'm depriving myself of sleep too. So, because we're not gonna see you until like New Year's, basically. I hope everyone has a good Christmas. If you celebrate, and always think of those that don't have family to celebrate with. There's a lot of people that definitely need the love out there.
Word.
Until then, thank you, love you, goodbye, and we'll see you in 2019.
Happy holidays. Yeah, see you then.